We are live. What's up,
my dudes?
Hey,
what's up, y'all?
Welcome to the 2023 Grow Your Church Workshop. I am Ryan. This is Chris.
Come on.
I don't know which got the cooler hoodie. So, hey, why don't you let us know? Hey, when you're jumping on, say hello.
I like that.
Let us know what part of the world you're jumping in from. We can't wait to go through this content with you today. We're going to be talking about your 2023 plan. We're going to be helping you get your plan together. And we're going to be diving into it. We got some great content. I think churches are going to love this. And we're excited to go through it. But before we jump in, we want to hear what part of the world you're jumping in from. Maybe what are you rocking a hoodie today, and which hoodie do you vote for? So
dream big, God plus hustle.
Okay, wait. Not only just dream big,
right?
But we got pray bigger.
Okay,
and we got start small.
Okay.
So,
well then, I mean, if we're going sleeves, I got some God plus hustle right there, and then I got is it this? No, it's this side. Right? It says faith without works is dead. So I'm just saying, one of us has scripture. On their hoodie, right? But you guys decide.
You guys decide. I love it. Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. We're going to get started here. Man, you already have 836 people jumping in. You guys are ready to go. Chris, this is awesome. What are you drinking this morning,
man? Okay, so here's the deal. I go with a little bit of nitro. I'm about 4/5 of the way into a nitro. Man, it's one of the longest drink orders they have there. It's the vanilla sweet cream nitro cold brew, not the regular cold brew. I go with the nitro. That's just how I roll. It's one of the most delicious things they have at Starbucks. And about halfway through, you literally feel like you can fly. So
okay,
I'm good to go, bro.
That's dangerous. Anytime, if you guys have ever been part of one of Chris's presentations or you've seen him on the YouTube channel, you know if he's fully caffeinated, you are in for a treat.
Let's go.
This is awesome, guys. We just broke the 1,000 pastors and church leaders joining us today. So this is absolutely crazy. I think we had 5,500 pastors and church leaders register for this. So you guys might all scoot into the middle here. Really excited, man, to hang out with kingdom-minded people today. We're also trying out some new software. So we want you guys to really be interactive as we go through this. So we've got some polls that we want to try out today. So for example, let's try this poll here. This will be a good one. So this is an interesting one. Hey, tell us what best describes your job description. Are you the lead pastor, associate? So if you want to click over on the chat, and you can vote in the poll. Are you the communications creative? Don't take the polls too seriously. If you're like, well, I'm the janitor / I do this. Hey, just kind of give your vote there, and we're trying this out. So what best describes your job description at the church?
I'd like to personally give a shout out to all the youth pastors in the house. Okay, like I was in youth ministry for 15 years. I'm a worship leader now, but my heart is still in youth. So just a shout out to all the youth pastors in the world. Wow, I've got a lot of lead pastors, a lot of associate pastors.
I'd like to give a shout out to the kids workers.
Okay.
I volunteer with the whole Wakefield families back in the elementary. Any elementary volunteers? Man, special place in heaven. I'm claiming that. For us.
Okay, 100%. Larger mansions.
Larger mansions. So that's cool. A lot of lead pastors, a lot of associates, communications. Keep voting. You can find that. I think it's in like the chat section. You can let us know there. But man, it's really cool to see the wide variety of people that we have on here. One of the things that the CMU team has been talking a lot about here in the last couple of weeks is, man, we are humbled at this opportunity to spend the next couple hours with pastors and church leaders. And there's very few times where you get over 1,000 pastors and church leaders gathered in one place.
Yeah.
And we want you to know we do not take that lightly. We've been praying for this moment. We've been praying for you. And we really are serious about, man, if we can serve these churches, your church well in the next couple hours, and you can get a plan together that will get you and your team encouraged and excited about reaching people in your community, getting more visitors than ever before, man, we can have some kingdom impact. So I want you to know we've been working hard, we've been praying hard, and we pray that, man, this next few hours are really an encouragement to you, and you walk away with a lot of tangible things and an encouragement for the year ahead. So we just want you to know that. And to that end, why don't we start in prayer?
Yeah,
so Chris,
100%.
If you could open us up in prayer, and if some of you guys want to put a prayer in the chat, again, keep this as interactive as possible. I feel like that's scriptural. You can pray in the chat. But Chris, if you'd open us up in prayer, and then guys, we're going to jump right into it.
Awesome. Guys, let's pray. Man, God, I thank you for every single pastor and church leader that's on this workshop here today. God, I thank you for their faithfulness. God, I thank you that you see them. God, you see all of the late nights. You see all the early mornings, all the working weekends, all the extra hours that they put in. God, you see the blood, sweat, and tears that they put into ministry. God, I thank you right now in the name of Jesus, Lord, that and even pray for every single person out there that feels like they're on an island. God, they're not. You see them. You're there with them. God, and I just thank you that you brought them onto this workshop, that it's not an accident that we're all here together today. Lord, I pray that you help Ryan and I to be able to communicate to the very best of our abilities. God, to put all the cookies on the bottom shelf, to make everything really, really easy to access and easy to understand, so that all of these pastors and church leaders can take this plan and they can take it to their church and they can reach tons and tons of people, and that ultimately, God, will be able to make heaven crowded. God, I thank you that everywhere the sole of our foot tread, we're on land that you've given us, God, that no weapon formed against us shall prosper, but every single thing we put our hand to will. And God, I thank you that you will open up doors that no man can shut. So finally, God, I just pray that on this webinar, God, that you would do exceedingly abundantly above and beyond all that we can ask or imagine. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, guys, let's jump into this. Man, we are almost to 1,600 of you guys. Man, this is crazy. And I see some of our favorite people in the world. Shout out to Charity Lane. Shout out to some of our graduates. I see you in the chat. So, man, it's so much fun to be able to be back, brand new year, and hanging out with you guys. So, man, there's no place we would rather be. So, if all the technology is working right, well, let's do one. We'll do one other quick poll here. Let's just have a fun with it.
I like it, bro.
Let's dream. We're talking about dreaming big. I want to see what type of pastor and church leader we have here. And this is just a fun one. Again, we want you guys to interact with us. So this is a fun one. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where are you traveling to? So Alaska, Hawaii, we got Bora Bora.
Holy Land is off to a large lead.
Early lead. So now we know this crew is like pretty spiritual. So I'm glad we prayed, because this is the crew that's like, man,
this is the Holy Land crew.
If this workshop doesn't start with prayer, I'm out of here. So man, Alaska's struggling. I think it's because a lot of people got snow, upper Midwest.
I think Alaska's like one of those places. It's cool to go, but after you've been to Hawaii, Bora Bora, Europe, and Holy Land, then you're like, okay, we can check out Alaska. Okay. Still cool.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. So we're going to get a chance to hang out with you guys, get to know you guys. So it's good to know who we're hanging out with here today. So, man, if you want to put in the chat, maybe you have a place that wasn't listed on there, you guys are welcome to throw that in the chat. Give us kind of some location envy here. So I'm going to start our slides that we have prepared for you today. Now, we do have a workbook that goes with our presentation today. So if you're like, man, I'd love to have those slides, what you're looking for is the workbook. That's kind of the slides in note form. Shout out to Mary, Sherry, Nathan, and the crew that worked really, really hard up to the last minute getting that ready. So if this works right, we've never done this before, but we are going to share the file there. So I think you can find that file maybe in the chat. Team, let me know if you can see that file. Because it is hopefully should be there in the workbook in the chat. This is brand new software, so we never if the resources is there, let us know in the chat. Got the download. Okay, so you guys, it looks like you guys are working. Awesome. So that is hopefully our gift to you, and it's a PDF. And man, we've tried to load that sucker up. So if you're like, man, Ryan and Chris, you guys talked for 2 hours. I found nothing you said remotely helpful. I am now dumber for listening to this workshop. You will find a lot of help in the guide. So be sure you grab that and try. And if for some reason it doesn't come through, hey, don't worry about it. We will email it out to you, to everyone that have registered. That way you have it. We will get it to you. I promise. So if for some reason you can't see it, we'll get it to you. So we do want to say, hey, welcome. It is always nice as you're jumping in. Man, we're getting close to 1,800 church. That's crazy, mind blowing. But as you're jumping in, let us know where in the world you are participating from the workshop. We would encourage you to maybe have another device you can take notes on, get your plan together. So notebooks, we are going to go deep into some content for you here. This workshop should go about 2 hours. And if we're not careful, man, we will try to hang around at the end and go as long as you guys have questions. And we really do feel like this. Some of you guys we've been on this journey with for the last couple of years. Some of you guys, you're brand new. We're just getting to meet you. Hey, this is a journey we will go on with you. We love serving local churches. And so if you're like, man, that was a lot, but I feel like I still got a lot to go. Let's go on this journey together. We got a lot of ways coming up that we can help you. CMU in general is a no drama zone. So we don't like to break out into any theological fights in the comments. So if you flip over a table in the comments, Caleb, our bouncer, will be showing you the exit. So just know it's a no drama zone. So keep the drama to a minimum. Unless you're arguing about the best place to travel in the world, we'll allow that travel drama only.
What was the correct answer to that, Ryan?
I don't know. We'll see. All the above.
I'll say this. I lived in Hawaii for about 6 months and it was amazing.
Humble brag.
I mean, no big deal. But I'm really excited about Bora Bora. I mean, man, Jamie Newstead, I think I saw you in there saying Bora Bora. That's me, bro. So you and I can hang out in Bora Bora together because, man, crystal clear water, the glass floors.
Let's do a church conference in Bora Bora.
Done.
Okay.
Done. Executive decision. We just made it. We're going.
Hey, just a note, we will email you a link for the replay. So some of you are like, man, that was an awesome workshop. I want to take my entire board through it, my entire team through it. We are planning to have a kind of a second workshop experience later this afternoon, if that works well. So we will email you that and the workbook. So don't get all frazzled. Like, man, what about this? What about that? Just know, pay attention to your email. We will be sending you the email. And then, hey, if you are a current Grow Church, so Chris and I, if you're just meeting us, we actually partnered last year, January 6th, was famous because it was the first day we officially partnered together to say, hey, let's go all in and help churches reach as many people as possible. And so we've had over 400 churches jump in, and you're part of if you're a part of the Grow program, you're welcome to hang out here and hang out with us. But just know this, what the plan we're about to show all these pastors and church leaders, which we're almost coming up on a couple thousand, which is nuts, is the plan we're implementing for you. So if you want to hang out here, great. If you've got other things to do, know that you're taken care of. And this is the plan that we're implementing for you in the Grow program. So just a little bit of a housekeeping note there. Now, we mentioned Chris and I. This is a little screenshot of a video from a few years ago, but we both have helped pastors and church leaders for a number of years.
Bro, every time I see this picture, I'm like, was this during COVID? Like, did I not know what a haircut was? Like that, but look how young we look. This is years ago.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Like 2017.
And we individually had our own kind of organizations and resources serving churches together. We've served over 50,000 pastors and church leaders through courses and conferences and kits. And man, hopefully, our heart, if you've been hanging around us or the CMU team, is to help pastors and church leaders reach people. So that's a little bit about us. We know that this workshop is about you, not about us. But if you're ever like, who is Chris? Who is Ryan? That's just a quick snapshot. We don't want to spend too much time because really we're not important. Your plan to reach people is what is most important. So the goal of everything that we do, and the goal, including in this workshop, is we want to work together with you and your church to make heaven crowded. That's the goal. People, they're here and now changed, but their eternity also changed. We also want to say this, is that, hey, we're about to talk about how to get the word out about your church, but we also realize that we got to keep the main things the main thing. So the focus of our churches should be on Jesus, preaching the word, anything that keeping the main things the main things. And there's a lot of great stuff about church that we could talk about. Volunteers, we could talk about worship, we could talk about just loving your neighbor and being the church and all those core things that you should see you should see in your church, which is awesome. I just want to let you know this workshop, and Chris and I feel specifically gifted by God on the area of getting the word out about your church. So if you're like, Ryan, why aren't you guys talking about volunteers or worship, or why aren't you talking about just kind of loving your neighbor and doing kind of missions outreach? All of that we celebrate, we love. You have to keep the main things the main things. We feel gifted by God in the area of getting the word out and getting visitors in. Okay, so I just want to acknowledge that all of those are way more important. But we also feel like evangelism is also up there, and that's where we feel uniquely called. And so please know that that's our heart. So if we're not talking about the thing that you're really passionate about, it's okay. We're passionate about it too, but this workshop is specifically about getting your church more visitors than ever before in 2023. So our philosophy around CMU is it's not marketing, it's ministry. So hopefully that's refreshing to a lot of you. Our marketing is our middle name, so that's a little bit awkward. But really, marketing is just a tool to help your church do more ministry. Let me say that again. Marketing is just a tool to help your church do more ministry. It accelerates ministry. So it's not about marketing. It's not about the tool. It's not about the tactic. That is simply just a method to help your church do more ministry. So we say that all the time. It's not about marketing. We know that's our middle name. It's about ministry, okay? So just so you guys are clear about that. And our heart, if you run into any of our CMU churches, if you run into any of our graduates, you'll find this kind of consistent theme that pastors are our heroes. We love you guys. It's amazing to us. It's jaw-dropping to see what you guys do in the trenches, leading local churches and congregations, being the light in communities through a lot of difficult times. And we want you to know that is you guys are our heroes, and hopefully our team serves you like that. So if you've been around, and so some of you guys that are here, you've been around CMU a while. Maybe you're enrolled in one of our programs. So if you felt that, you could give a kind of shout out in the chat here about that. But we really just feel that, and we want you guys to know that. And maybe nobody in your life has told you that. Maybe the last 3 years has been families and people telling you the exact opposite of that, and you don't feel like a hero. If you've not heard it lately, hopefully you hear it from us. And if you walk away with nothing else, hopefully you walk away knowing, man, we love you, we celebrate you, and we want to do anything we can to help, and you really are our hero. So that's our heart around here. And our hope today is that you leave encouraged. So that is a really big deal to us, that what we do is uplifting. That's why we don't like drama in the chat. This is not a time to have theological debates or argue or backbite or talk about any other number. This is about how do we get people in our communities connected to Jesus? And we want to encourage you to that end. And we pray that you leave fired up, that this workshop is the metaphorical nitro cold brew to your passion for your community. So, and we are obsessed. So we are obsessed with helping your church get more visitors every single week. So that's, if you get the CMU crew together for 5 minutes or more, you'll find us over in the corner talking about, man, how can we get churches more visitors? What can we do? And so we are constantly trying to figure out things. I will be the first to raise my hand and say we have not figured it all out. What we're going to be showing you in this workshop is stuff that we see is working now. It's not perfect. It's not a silver bullet, but we are trying our best. I can tell you, we stay up late at night dreaming about this. We get up early in the morning praying about this, and it truly is an obsession of ours, but it's not perfect. But we are obsessed with getting better and helping local churches get more visitors every single week. Chris, this is one of our favorite Bible verses that drive us. So this is going to be a kind of a scripture for this workshop, but walk us through Luke here. Yeah.
So love me some Luke 14:23. Man, go out to the highways and hedges and compel them to come in that my house may be full. Right. Like this is why we do what we do. And I think a lot of times, right, we need to remember as pastors and church leaders that we have to go out to the highways and hedges and compel them to come in. Right. So that's like that pivotal word is we have to compel them to come in. Right. We have to give them a reason to come in. So we can't just sit inside of our churches. Right. And shout out like, hey, come on in, and trying to get people to come in. We have to go out to the highways and hedges and compel them to come in, that his house may be full. And so that's exactly what we're going to do here in this workshop, is kind of lay out a step-by-step plan for how to do that.
So one of the things that we've done in this workshop is we started with your feedback. So I pulled the responses from the first 1,000 pastors who took the survey when you registered. And this was some of the feedback. And we asked, one of the questions in the survey is, what's the biggest obstacle to growing your churches? Now, again, keep in mind, this is out of 1,000 pastors and church leaders. Almost half of them said, my people don't invite. Okay. And we do have a poll on this because we wanted to poll you guys again here. About that. So I'm going to start a poll here that you guys can vote in as well. But that was like a huge thing. It's like, man, our people are not inviting. So we're going to talk about that in this workshop. a lot of people are saying, hey, 483 out of 1,000 said, we don't have a big budget to support this. And then a lot of people said, hey, we don't have a resource really to execute or the know-how to how to execute a church growth plan. And then this was like eye-opening. Almost over 40% of the pastors and church leaders responding said, we do not have a plan in place to reach more people in 2023. And so that's really been kind of humbling for us, is that as we're jumping in here and we've got over 2,000 pastors and church leaders on here live, if we don't have a plan in place, and I know God is huge, God can do anything, but I do think God works through plans. God works through kind of a blueprint and looking at it and hard work. And so if as we're leading local churches, if we don't have a plan on how we're going to get the word out to more people in our community and get more visitors than ever before, then we should not be surprised that we fail if we don't have a plan. So one of our big hearts over the next couple hours is, let's get that plan together, because the plan is really the starting point, something we can pray over, something we can work towards. It doesn't have to be complicated, doesn't have to be overwhelming, but we need to get something in place. Okay, so the live poll is very close to what kind of we saw before the workshop. I do want to ask you, you guys feedback here, kind of at the here at the workshop. Would you tell us in this latest poll, do you feel good currently about your 2023 visitor plan? Do you feel good about your 2023 visitor plan? And I think everybody will benefit from this. So if you do have a good plan in place, hopefully it becomes a great plan. But if you're not feeling good about your plan, I think you've come to the right place. I think we've got some content that can help you. And it looks like, the vast amount of, it shouldn't be a surprise, which is probably why you're here. You don't quite feel great about your plan just yet. So it looks like about 84%.
Yeah, wow.
Would say you don't feel good about your plan. So hopefully, if we do our job right over the next couple hours, you will leave here at least saying, I've got a plan and I feel pretty good about it. And then we'll give you some ways that hopefully that can go from, I feel good to, let's go. Let's start working the plan. So thank you for your feedback. Let's keep that going here. So the one thing as we're starting this off, here's what we do. Kind of want to give you a little bit of a warning. Is we see this all the time, is that the number one mistake we see frustrated church leaders making as you're putting together your plan is that you try to build without your foundation in place. And another kind of corollary to that is you're just trying more stuff and more stuff. I go to this conference, I go to that workshop, I go to this. So part of this is like, we hope that this is just not another like burden to put on you, but we really, hopefully this gives you a simple plan. But the big part of it is that you have a foundation in place. So a lot of what we're going to be talking about in the next couple minutes here is that foundation. And we hear this feedback a lot of times with churches jumping in to our programs. They'll say stuff like, we just felt like we were on this never-ending treadmill of ideas. Pastor would go to this conference, pastor would listen to that YouTube channel. It was all this activity, a treadmill of ideas that only led to more confusion and overwhelm for our team and our congregation, and it really didn't get us any results. So a lot of that goes back to, do you have the right foundation in place? Because we see pastors and church leaders, if you're trying to build without a foundation, it only is going to lead to what some of our CMU graduates put in the comments: frustration. Trying to build without a foundation is going to lead to frustration. And we see a lot of frustrated pastors trying things without getting results. It's because you're trying to build and just do more and more and more without the right foundation in place. So as we put your plan together, one of the things that we're going to constantly stress is the plan is going to work way better if you have a foundation in place. Okay. So that is big. You'll notice that over the next couple slides. Chris, you want to talk about this slide here about systems? Yeah.
So this is something that I've kind of learned like in my own life, right? That at the end of the day, it all comes down to systems, right? Like I've heard it said that growth isn't a secret, it's a system. Right. And I think in our lives, in our ministries, right, in our churches, everything, like it all comes down to a system. So you guys like if you guys are anything like Ryan and I, right, like you don't need more stuff. You just need a simple system. And that's what's good. I think we may even have it in the slide deck here. But one of my favorite quotes of all time is from James Clear, right? If you guys have read Atomic Habits, and he says, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Okay. And I think this is great. And this is why, like, if we have goals to reach new people and we have goals to get more visitors and all these different things, but then we never hit those goals, it's because we're not just going to automatically rise to the level of our goals. Instead, we're going to fall to the level of our systems. So that's what we're going to be talking about here today, is how to set up a simple system for your church that's going to help you reach those goals, bring in new people, and ultimately make heaven crowded.
Love it. So you do need a system. So one of the things that we do with our Grow churches is what we call an automatic invite system. Now, this is specifically for a lot of, you hear them called smaller churches. A lot of times we call them normal sized churches, because I think like 90% of the churches here in America, at least, are that size. So like, we'll say things like, hey, we don't have a big team. Our people don't invite. We don't have a big budget. We don't have enough volunteers. We're already overwhelmed. We don't know how to do this. And so what Chris and I would say is, despite all of those limitations that you may feel that you have, now we'll say, hey, sometimes this becomes an excuse and a limiting belief. So sometimes you need to just say, hey, I serve a huge God that can do anything, and kind of mentally get past some of these excuses. But knowing that you truly have some unique situations, some limitations, we think you need an automatic invite system that is going to work for your church every single hour, every single day, every single week, every single month, every single all year for years to come. So no matter what season you're in as a church and a ministry, you can have this system that is automatically inviting your community, okay? So we call this, for our Grow churches, an automatic invite system. We see this work really well because we know in the trenches of ministry, sometimes you have enough volunteers. Most times you don't. Sometimes you have budget. Most times you don't. Sometimes you guys get the idea. Sometimes you're like, man, I just need a sabbatical, or I just need a vacation. And so how do you get some systems in place that are automatically inviting your community, that doesn't depend on your calendar, your schedule, your budget, your volunteers? So that's where we want to start with this system idea is, what about this year starting to work on a system, what we would call an automatic invite system? This seems to work great for our churches and the churches that we serve and are part of here locally. So what's also cool is Chris and I know this rich businessman.
Yeah, we do.
That will fund this system for you. So has anybody ever had this story like, hey, we had a rich businessman that came in and dropped a fat check?
I've never met that guy.
I know.
It's never happened in my church.
But we do know this rich business person that will give churches, if you're a registered 501c3 nonprofit, $10,000 a month, up to $120,000 a year, to tell people about Jesus and invite them to be a part of your Jesus-centered church. So we really feel like, hey, this is a great way to set up your system, have our rich friend fund it, that can automatically work. And especially for a lot of us that are kind of we're hearing about economic uncertainty. I know a lot of you replied back, hey, we would love to recession-proof kind of our visitor plan. How would we do that? This is kind of what we are setting up for our churches we serve to do that very thing. So to have somebody fund our automatic invite system. So that rich business person is Google. So we truly don't know a rich business person. We would love, so if any of you guys know like the Hobby Lobby people, we hear they're awesome. We don't know them yet. So one day we'll meet an actual rich business person.
Mark from Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, Mark, are you on here, Mark? No, this is Google, and the Google has a program which is super smart. We don't have time to get into explain why Google does this. It's just super savvy. But they have a grant where they will give registered 501c3 nonprofits $10,000 a month in ad credit to help your nonprofit get the word out. So for us, that's getting the word out about what we're passionate about, telling people about Jesus and inviting them to be a part of a Jesus-centered church. So right now, if you're asking us, hey, what would you guys do to help get the word out? This would be the core of what we would recommend, because you can have somebody else fund it. And the power of Google and people searching in your community is absolutely huge. So this is where we would start with working on a system for our churches. And so part of what we do is set up and run these campaigns. And the goal is to make sure that our churches are always inviting, even when you don't have a big enough time, team, and budget. So one of the things that in the next poll that we want to do is ask the churches here, does your church already have the Google grant? So if you would give feedback in the poll, I'd be curious to see if your church has the Google grant. I think sometimes when churches hear about this for the first time, they're like, is that real? I mean,
it doesn't. I didn't believe it the first time. I literally, I was like, that can't be true. And I heard about it on a podcast, and I called the guy who was on the podcast. I was like, is this like Tyler Rominger, right? Yeah. And anyway, and he was like, dude, it's absolutely real, right? I went out and I got this from my church, and then I was like, oh my gosh, like literally, like we had $10,000 every single month to reach people, invite people to church. I mean, it's legitimately real. Like I went out, I had it from my church for 6 or 7 years now, and it really is as good as it sounds. It's incredible.
So, man, almost 90% of the churches on here do not have the Google grant. So, for us, man, that's a huge opportunity to have a rich business person, metaphorical kind of. Hopefully, you guys get the kind of metaphor there we're playing with. Fund your automatic invite system, and that can be running every single month for your church. So, man, that's crazy. So I'm going to end that poll. I'll give you guys a few more seconds to wrap up the poll if you haven't voted already. We're almost at a 10-90 split there. So let's go ahead and finish that and show you guys the results. And so this is an example of what it looks like. So this is one of our churches. This gives a snapshot of a month. You can see here that we ran almost $10,000 of the grant in this month. I think this is over the summer month. So this is July of 2022. That showed, and the data that you'll see in these screenshots are people around the church, driving distance. So this isn't like, hey, this is worldwide. This is people in and around their community. And you can see here that in and around their community, they had almost just over 14,000 people see a search result, an ad about the church, and over 1,500 of those community members went from that search result to the church's website. Okay, that's using Google's money in the month of July. Now, all 1,500 of those people aren't going to show up at the church the next week. Ministry flows out of relationships. Relationships take time. But the part of what we do with the Google grant is we get all of those people in and around your church starting to build that relationship. So if 1,500 people went from the community or from Google doing a search, how many of those people do you think you could start a relationship with on your website and eventually get them to visit, plan a visit, get them to a live stream? That's kind of the big aha. Oh, my word. You spent $9,700. 1,400 people around the community saw information about the church. 1,500, almost 1,600 people went from that search result to the church's website. Okay, so
let me point something out real quick, Ryan. Yeah. I think this is pretty incredible. So a lot of times, like we're saying, like you and I talk to pastors and church leaders all the time and say this. I've had this happen myself at my church. I'm sure you guys have too, right? It's like where you feel like, man, we just can't get the word out, right? Like we've got a great church, but nobody knows that we're here, right? But this, like, man, with this church used Google's money, right, to get the word out to 14,000 people in 1 month, right, and invite 14,000 people to their church, right, in 1 month for free using Google's money. And almost 1,600 of those people, right, liked what they had to say so much that they went to the church website to learn more, right? So it's that sowing reap, right? We're planting those seeds, right? We're putting a rock in their shoes. So maybe they show up this Sunday, right? Maybe they show up next month. Maybe they show up next year. But every single month, right, man, boom, that's 14,000 people that you invited to church who now know about your church, right? And 1,600 of them went to their website to learn more, right? So that's the power of this and why it's so incredible when you have an automatic invite system set up for your church, right? You're sleeping, but it's just constantly inviting people. 14,000 people in 1 month, 1,600 went to the church website to learn more about that church.
That's crazy. Here's another church in California. You can see this one. We spent close to $9,000. 16,000 people in the area saw the ad, and then almost 1,800 people went to the church website. So some of the questions we get right away is like, do you spend all 10,000 every single month? No, probably not. But you want to get as close to that as you possibly can. And so you do want to work with some people that know enough about running ad campaigns that could maximize that for you. Because if you don't spend that money, you lose access to that money. And the Google grant, they're not going to give you a briefcase of small unmarked bills on your church doorstep. They're going to give you basically a gift card of ad credit to run $10,000 a month in ads. So if you don't use that gift card, it expires at the end of the month. So if you look at here, we have almost 2,300 churches represented here, and 90% of you aren't using this. If you did that math, I think that would be probably hundreds of millions of dollars that local churches aren't utilizing every single month to tell people about Jesus and invite people in our communities to a Jesus-centered church, which is a crazy opportunity that our churches have to set up an automatic invite system. Now, is this a silver bullet? No. Do all 1,800 of these people show up every single? No. But is this a way to start getting the word out on a methodical system approach? Yes. And starting relationships and inviting people and at least making them aware that your church exists and that your ministries exist. So this is another account in Clearwater, Florida. You can see the numbers there. So you can show you, does Florida and all, Midwest, California, you get the idea. People use Google all over the place. You guys would know that. So the other aspect of this, so there's the automatic invite system, and then there's what we call our visitor growth engine. Okay, so these are the two systems that we set up for our churches. Okay, so what is a visitor growth engine? I think for the 70% of you guys were like, hey, I'm interested in that. Tell me more about that. So the next section is all going to be about the visitor growth engine because you guys wanted to hear about that. So this system works automatically every day to get visitors to show up each week at your church. So the automatic invite system and the visitor growth engine are like the twin turbos of your plan. Okay, they work together, and this is what we recommend. Our churches get these systems set up, and we're going to go through a month-by-month plan here in a second. But if you have the twin turbos working as the foundation, the plan is way more effective at a fraction of the cost. Okay, hopefully that is making sense. And we use, the Bible uses farm analogies a lot. We use sprinkler system analogies a lot. But if you ever kind of go through farm world, you'll see these fields, right, that the farmers are planting. They're getting ready for harvest. But then you will see things like an irrigation system, right, where you'll have these big watering units. They'll have a fertilization system. And so what we really try to use the analogy for lead pastors is the automatic invite system and visitor growth engine. You may call them something else in your context, but those are like the irrigation system and the fertilization system that help work as you're putting seed in the ground. Think about a farmer trying to get a big harvest, but they didn't have a plan for watering and a plan for fertilization. They may get something, but it's probably not going to be luscious healthy, okay? So that's why we say the biggest thing that we see pastors doing is you're trying to implement a plan without a foundation, without the systems, okay? So this is a big deal, and we actually want to kind of pull back the curtain and show you what this looks like, the parts of the system. So visitor growth engine. And again, I know we're going fast, but we have a guide that will help you with this. We have plenty of resources, but we want to jump in enough to show you guys, okay, what does this look like? How can I get started on this? So this is the parts of the visitor growth engine. We're going to start it with our kind of philosophy: dream big, pray bigger, start small. In fact, all of our certified graduates get these hoodies. So if you ever see anybody walking around with one of these cool hoodies here, you'll know that they've gone through the visitor growth engine and have graduated. So we say, hey, the fuel of the system is prayer. Okay, we know this is that everything starts in prayer, ends in prayer. The battle is won in prayer. And so it's ridiculous to be working on a system if we're not praying. And so we're going to start everything in prayer, and we're going to start small. We're going to make 1% steps to implement this. Okay, so it's not overwhelming. We're going to break it down, and we're going to start small. And we're going to build everything on a systems approach. So the big difference about an engine is once you compiled an engine in your car, hopefully you should be driving that car for the next decade. Right? So the difference between an idea, oh, let's go do that idea or that event or that outreach, is you put time in, you did an event, and now that time is kind of done. And hopefully it went well. But the difference with a system or an engine, you put time in, and you should have something that is helping you for the next decade. So when you're building a visitor growth engine, you're building a system that should be getting you visitors, not just for one time, not just for 1 month, but for years and years to come. That's the big difference on this. Why don't you tell, because you did this at Guts Church. Yeah. We didn't call it a visitor growth engine when we were doing Summit Park Church. You were doing Guts Church. But now that we kind of we both kind of built this.
Once we figured out all the parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I set this up for my church. years ago. I mean, probably 2016, 2017, something like that. And like, and what's cool is like I was going through and just setting up these different parts. Like Ryan said, we didn't call this a visitor growth engine back then, but we're setting up all these different parts that all kind of work together. And then what happens is like the power of kind of compounding, right? Like that engine is just always in the background running. Is like, you kind of set it up, like forget about it. Like I got a text a few months ago, right? Like from Google that said 46,000 people found Guts Church in Google last month. And I was like, 46,000 people found Google or found Guts Church in Google, right? So, for those of you guys who are like, man, I'm having trouble like getting the word out. Nobody knows I'm here. What if 46,000 people started finding your website and finding your church every single month in Google because you took the time to set up a visitor growth engine, right? So that's what happened to me. It's pretty incredible. And the great thing is, like, I haven't looked at that thing in years, right? I set it up once, and then it's just always running in the background like that, right? And it's just a system that just, keeps bringing people are finding Guts, and then you get that steady stream of new visitors every single Sunday because you have a system in place.
Yep. So that's the first two parts. The next two parts is you want a stream of online reviews and testimonies happening on Google, Yelp, Facebook, and social media. This is absolutely huge for getting visitors to actually show up. Social proof, reviews. If our people in our communities are going to do anything nowadays, they're going to check the reviews first, even including the burrito that they're going to eat at lunch today. So if they're going to check out your church, or they're getting invited, or they're seeing a search result, they're going to go look at your reviews. Don't be weirded out by reviews. All it is a tool to do an old school thing that we see in the Bible, is share about the goodness of God. Now we have places like Yelp and Google and Facebook and others where we can take what God is doing in our church and we can share about it. And these major tech platforms will tell our community about it. So instead of saying, hey, my burrito was awesome, people are saying my marriage is been totally transformed by the power of God. So don't be weirded out about it. Again, these are just new tools that we have, but you need a steady stream of this. So part of the engine is, this shouldn't be something that you're worried about. It should be something that we'll show you how you can build it into your system, but that every single week, every single month, you are having your congregation share testimonies of the goodness of God, and you have a steady stream of online reviews happening. The fourth part of this is SEO, getting on the first page of Google search results. So we use the ad grant for a lot of that, but we also want you organically showing up for a wide variety of things, especially where your church wants to be known for. So if you have an amazing family ministry, you should be showing up with family-related searches for your local area. If you have a really cool grief recovery or addiction recovery, you name it. You guys are representing a ton of different ideas and ministries and things that God has put in your context. You need to be showing up for that when people in your area are searching. So that's part of the engine, that you get that working, and then now you show up in that context, which that is really, really huge. So that's the next two parts of it. And I know we're going fast, but again, we want to show you the parts. We can spend a lot over the next few months kind of diving more into this. But the next element number 5, is you need 10 crucial photos from your iPhone about your church to tell the story of what God is doing in your church. And we're going to use those 10 photos. So you don't need 1,000 photos. You need 10 photos to show what God is doing in your church to people outside your church. And so I love young people because they have this saying, pics or it didn't happen. If you don't have photos of what you're trying to tell me, the story you're trying to tell me, it didn't happen. It doesn't exist. So really, if you want to reach young people, this is crucial. And I like to use the analogy of, if you were just hired as the marketing director for Niagara Falls, and you put a plan together and you came and you presented it to the team and you didn't have any picture of the waterfall, you would be fired. But a lot of us, our churches, we're using the same stock photos that the dentist office is using, okay? We have the most amazing story in the history of the world. We have the most compelling thing for our community. We have something that's more beautiful than Niagara Falls, and we're hiding it. So this is a crucial tool that we will use. So we get 10 photos that you're going to use on your website, you're going to use on social, you're going to use on Google, you're going to use on Yelp. We optimize those 10 photos. But really, so again, the engine, I'll show you here in the next slide. I'll save that. I'll explain that here in the next slide, but how this kind of works together with the automatic invite system. Number 6 is setting your website up as your chief visitor officer. Your website should be meeting people in your community every single hour and inviting them to your Jesus Center church. And it should be the best employee that you have. And you should be like, man, we need to give our website a raise because it is our chief visitor officer. But a lot of you guys, your website is just a brochure. So you got to get it from, hey, brochure to chief visitor officer. Okay, so that's part number 6. Part 7 and 8 is you got to be growing your contact list. So that you may hear people refer to that as like an email list, a database. We really stress not only emails, but mobile numbers as well. That email list and phone list need to be growing weekly, okay? A growing church is going to have a growing contact list. So part of your visitor growth engine is everything that you do. We're about to jump into the month-by-month plan, but everything that you do in that plan, you need to put a sticky note or a mental sticky note. How are we going to use this part of the plan to gather people's contact information, okay? When you have contact information, you have the starting point for a relationship. Ministry flows out of relationship. Relationships take time. It's a quote from Pastor Scotty Gibbons, my mentor for a number of years. But that ministry can happen, that relationship can start when you have people's contact information. So a big part of a visitor growth engine is a growing contact list. We call it the law of the list, is that a growing church is going to have a growing contact list, which you probably could do an evaluation. I wish I had a poll for this, is like, if what's been happening in your list in your church over the last couple of years, it's what's been happening in your church growth. I will say this, we can do this poll here. So let me share this poll. Is let's do, how would you describe your current church's growth stage? And my point would be, this would probably describe the growth stage of your contact list. So if your contact list isn't growing, my hunch is your church isn't growing. If your contact list is growing and growing rapidly, you probably have a rapidly growing church, because ministry flows out of relationships. Relationships take time. Relationships start when you get their contact information, okay? So that's a big part of the visitor growth engine, is if you're going to have a growing church, we've got to have an engine that's getting you people's contact information all the time, okay? The last step that we do once we have your engine in place is what we call a crowd boost strategy, okay? That's where we take the engine and we just go crazy with it. So I know a lot of you guys, you said, hey, our people don't invite. Now, the point of your plan is not to replace personal invitation. The point of your plan is to accelerate, and especially accelerate and amplify and help personal invitation actually work, okay? So what we do in the crowd boost strategy is we got the engine in place. Now we're going to put some nitrous into that engine, okay? And we use the congregation to do that. So we walk you through a plan of how to activate the congregation to now get the visitor growth engine up and going, okay? And Chris will walk you through like how you get everybody sharing on social and inviting, and we have a step-by-step plan where we take something going into like Easter or Christmas, and we use the congregation to do what we call a crowd boost. And so once you have an engine, you got to know how to put fuel in the engine, okay? And so part of that fuel is what we call a crowd boost strategy. We can walk you through that in a number of ways, but those are the parts of the visitor growth engine, okay? So I'm gonna end this poll here, and then you can see here. I just want to take a moment and explain the automatic invite system. Invites your people who are searching in your community. So if people are going to Google and they live near your church and they're searching for a church, for things to do with kids, for hope, for addiction recovery, for grief recovery, for any number of things that your church has the answer to, for help in any number of ways, the automatic invite system invites those people to get connected with your church. So I want to show you how these two things work together. The automatic invite system is always inviting people who are searching. Now, the visitor growth engine is a corollary to that. It's getting the word out about your church and helping people actually show up. So it's kind of like this kind of back and forth. These are the twin turbos that are working together. You got to have a system to get the word out, and then a system to invite people, and then get visitors in. Okay, is that making sense?
That's perfect, bro. It's kind of like, this is imperfect, but I used to ride a lot of jet skis growing up. And a jet ski, has an impeller, right? And it pulls water in through the impeller, right? And then out of the back, it shoots the water out, and that's what makes That's what gives you momentum and makes you move forward, right? So you have to have a steady stream in and a steady stream out. So that's what we're talking about here is the automatic invite system is bringing people in, and the visitor growth engine is getting the word out.
Yep. So there you go, guys. So hopefully that is making sense. If you could let us know in the chat, like I know for some of you this may be like a new concept, or and it sounds maybe a little bit more complicated. I'm not a gear guy, so I don't really get all the parts. But hopefully is this making sense? And again, your system may look a little bit different. We wanted to show you what we see is working in the churches that we work with, what's really helping. And so let us know in the chat, is this kind of making sense here? Is this connecting? Because our next thing that we're going to do is move over to your actual plan. Okay. So before we jump into the plan, though, I just want to give you another warning. If you try to work a plan without this foundational system, even if it looks a little bit different from you, your plan tends to fall short. So maybe you feel like, hey, we work a plan, but we keep hitting a brick wall. I will diagnose you and say, you need a system. If you feel like, hey, we're frustrated because we're on a treadmill, we're hitting this wall, more than likely your work needs to be here at the system and the foundation level. Hopefully that's some light bulbs like, oh, we're doing all this stuff. We're trying to put up the walls, but we haven't laid the foundation yet. So this would be the foundation that we recommend. Hopefully that's been helpful to you. Hopefully you can take parts of that and you start small. You don't have to do all this today, tomorrow, but start working towards building your system. Okay, let's get the transmission in today. Okay, so all right, let's jump now into the 2023 plan. Okay, so we're going to dive deep into some ideas that we have for you, some recommendations that we have for you, and really this concept that we want to unpack in this next few moments is around this idea of systems and seasons. Systems and seasons. So we've already talked about the system part. Now let's break down the seasons part. Okay, so really the theme for this workshop, and hopefully your theme kind of for your 2023 plan, is based on systems and seasons. Okay, and for our 2023 planning, we want our grow churches to break the year into two types of alternating seasons. So Chris, unpack because you just did this with Guts Church, kind of walked them through this. So give me, what are the two different seasons that we want our churches to kind of think about?
Yeah, so there's two types of seasons throughout the course of the year. And I think as we go through this, you guys are going to naturally have seen this, right? But hopefully this kind of helps to put some context to it and to kind of give you some of the right words. I know we talked about like rolling this out at our church. I just rolled this out to my church with the staff and sat down, and we kind of talked about this difference between momentum seasons and ministry seasons, right? So there are momentum seasons throughout the course of the year, these natural momentum points that I think we all kind of know about, right? At the beginning of the year and back to school and Easter, right? And just these natural momentum points. But then the times in between are these ministry seasons, right? So we're gonna look at the entire year and talk about the difference between momentum seasons and ministry seasons. But here's the really, really important part, right? It's a lot of times what we want to do is kind of natural to kind of take our foot off the gas in the ministry seasons, kind of catch our breath and kind of slow down a little bit. But it goes back to like sowing and reaping, right? Planting and harvesting. If you go hard in the paint during the ministry seasons, right, and you're doing ministry and you're planting those seeds, that's going to lead to a much bigger harvest in the momentum seasons, right? So instead of just focusing on those momentum seasons and then relaxing, taking our foot off the gas, what we really need to do is have a strategic plan for both momentum and ministry seasons. So we go hard in the paint on the ministry seasons so that we can harvest big in the momentum seasons.
Yep. And I think there's a big aha headed your way, guys. When we jump into this seasons part for a lot of churches, we did a little practice webinar on Tuesday that this was like a big light bulb moment. But as we're getting into these seasons, again, I just want to remind you, the planning that we're about to tell you guys works way better when you have the systems in place that you're building the seasons on. I also want to remind you, if you're in our Grow program, for each of these seasons, we provide our churches with our kits, our courses, and campaigns, boot camps to support and make the most of those seasons. Now, in your download, remember, we make a download available. That's the guide. You can see this calendar that we're about to go through here. So I don't want you to read ahead, but I do want to show you where we're headed and that we have this level of kind of planning. Again, hats off to Nathan, Bo, Sherry, the team that really worked hard on this. But don't read ahead. Hang in here with us. We will unpack kind of what this calendar looks like, but that calendar is in the file that we've made available for this workshop. And if for some reason you can't download it here, we will email you the guide that goes with this that has the calendar. So the big thing here, so we're going to actually start in February that's coming up. And February is a ministry season. So what do you like about the kind of the ministry season of February, Chris?
Man, I love it. So, we have this big, huge momentum season of the beginning of the year. And then February kind of dips down, right? But the great thing about February, I think anyone who's ever, been a part of some of our programs in the past that kind of help is you can start laying the foundation during the February ministry season, and you start planting those seeds and you can reap the harvest and the benefit of that, right, in the momentum season of Easter, right? So I love just spending time, like, right, personal evangelism, right, like praying for people, really just kind of getting the word out and just spending time in ministry during this, whatever, right? It might be kind of a down season, but if you go hard in the paint during this ministry season, then you've got a big momentum season coming.
So the kind of an action step, and you'll see this in the calendar, and we unpack it more in the guide, is we would recommend that your church really focus on developing in the area of personal evangelism during this season. So we have a personal evangelism kit. We have a witness challenge that's really cool. You can do a sermon series, and we even have outlines that we put together on how you could do a whole series on this. But think about this: if in February you could lead the way where your church is getting better at the area of personal evangelism and invitation, okay? And you're intentionally saying, hey, we're going to focus on this area, and imagine if you're right. So again, I want to go back to the beginning of where you guys said the vast majority of the people on this workshop say, hey, our people aren't inviting. That is a problem we need to solve, and it's not going to solve itself. So we want to take this window in the calendar of our year and say, hey, where this is going to be a focus in the month of February, not to give up on our people, but to help them understand how to do this, to give them the tools that they need to do this, to lead the way, to pray about this, and to get better at this. Now, we don't have time to unpack exactly how you do all that. We have resources that help you with that, but we would just say, do that in the month of February, because if your people get excited about that, they understand it, you equip them with tools. We take our people, our grow churches, through a 21-day local mission trip, a kind of a challenge. You guys are probably familiar with like fitness challenges. Why don't you say in the chat, have you ever done like a fitness challenge, like a 21-day, 30-day, 100-day? What's like 75 hard or something?
Oh, yeah, 75 hard. Yeah,
I've never
done it, obviously. But yeah.
But we have one of those challenges that will take your congregation through, like a witness challenge, where each day they get a little challenge that gets a little bit harder. It starts out easier, gets a little bit harder. But we recommend in February, man, do an initiative, do a focus where your church is going to get better at this. We're going to solve the whole, hey, our people don't invite. We got to stop just telling our people not to invite and start actually leading the way and giving them the tools. That's another workshop. But we want you to really focus in that February. Why? Because if you do that in the ministry season, now guess what the next season is that we're going into, which you guys probably already guessed that these are going to alternate. We're about to go into a momentum season, and this is the big aha. Okay, so if you're a little bit distracted, or maybe your dog just ran into the room, say, hey, hold on a second, I got to lean in here. So everybody lean in here, because this is huge in unlocking what we're going to talk about. Is ministry seasons set the stage for a harvest in your momentum seasons. Ministry seasons set the stage for your harvest in your momentum seasons. So here's what we observe. There are some well-meaning pastors out there that they want the silver bullet to have a huge congregation and to fill their sanctuary, and they go to a momentum season and just try to blow it up, and they are frustrated, okay? And I think at some point we've all been there. What you have to step back and realize is ministry is an overflow out of relationships. Those relationships, you can really start those relationships in ministry seasons. And then the momentum seasons, people showing up to church, it's because of an invitation of conversations and relationships that you're already building in the ministry seasons. So if you're not doing active ministry in your ministry seasons, loving people, being the church, praying for people, meeting people's needs, activating your congregation, do not expect a harvest in the momentum seasons, okay? So some of you guys, if you're frustrated, hey, Christmas fell flat. Easter seems to fall flat. We're trying to do Facebook ads and it seems to fall flat. Part of it could be your system, but it could also be that you're not actually putting in the work in your ministry seasons, because if there's no conversations happening, if you're not praying for people, if you're not loving people and doing ministry and your congregation's doing this, the invitation to Easter is just an overflow of the ministry that's already been happening. If there's no ministry happening, don't expect people to show up on your big events. Okay. Hopefully that's like a light bulb moment. And it's like, oh man, we might need to go back and really reevaluate these ministry seasons because they set the stage for the harvest in your momentum seasons.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think you nailed it. And I think hopefully people who have never kind of thought this way are kind of starting to understand it, right? It's like, you don't not work out for 5 years, then join CrossFit, right? Because you're going to burn out after like 3 weeks and then never work out again. Same kind of thing. If you just try to go hard in your momentum seasons, you're going to burn out and not really. So it's just really riding those ministry seasons into the momentum seasons.
Yep. All right. The next season is really March through May 14th. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This just gives you kind of bookends to kind of think about it. This is a great momentum season. So you love momentum season, so I'm going to tee you up on this one.
Well, and I mean, this is a big one, right? We all know like Easter is like the Super Bowl Sunday in the church world, right? We all get super excited, right? Like people who would never set foot in church, right, come to church on Easter, and so it's incredible. People we haven't seen in months or even years come to church on Easter. So it's pretty incredible. So the best thing is just making sure you have a plan for those momentum seasons, right? So we're really sowing and going hard during the ministry season. We're just being very intentional during the ministry seasons. We also need to be very intentional and have a plan for the momentum season so we can make sure to maximize those impact. And this is an easy one. Obviously, it kind of ramps up that momentum into Easter. And then, I was shocked by this when I found this out like years ago, but then I started looking at it, I'm like, oh yeah, like this is actually true. The second largest attended Sunday, right? Everyone knows Easter is the biggest Sunday of the year, but the second most attended Sunday of the entire year is Mother's Day. I always thought it'd be Christmas. I started looking at like our own attendance. It's like, oh my God, it really is Mother's Day, right? So you have this really cool momentum window right here of kind of, like March ramping up into Easter and then Easter to Mother's Day in May. So this is a really, really cool momentum season. And when you do this correctly, it can actually propel you through the summer. So I was telling you the other day, but I had a friend of mine who had a church that was running about 140 people. And with Easter, man, we went hard in the paint. We sowed some seeds, started doing some invite ads during the ministry season leading up to it, went hard in the paint during the momentum season of Easter. His church of 140 ended up having 286 people on Easter, that was awesome. But what happened was, right, the bummer about Easter, right, is you come back and like, if you don't have a great plan, then like the next Sunday, you're right back down where you started. Well, what was cool is he had 140, had 286 on Easter, but then he averaged 180 all the way through the summer, right? Mm-hmm. So for like the next 3 months, he was averaging 180. So he went from 140 to 180 simply because he harvested correctly and had a plan in the momentum season of Easter and Mother's Day. So really, really cool if you're intentional during that momentum season.
One of the big things that we do with our churches in this season is selfie invite ads on Facebook. I know some of you guys probably just rolled your eyes when I said Facebook. Keep rolling, but hey, we are seeing that Facebook still is a great harvest field, and it's one of the most inexpensive ways to get the word out. This guy right here is probably the world's leading expert on Facebook ads for churches. And so selfie invite ads where you're simply just getting your phone out. And Chris, we do a fun thing called Selfie School where we'll show you how to do that. But really using those selfie videos and inviting people to Easter, to Mother's Day, having a great plan together. You do need to have a plan together for new believers. We have a kit, that will help you if you don't have a plan on that. But really getting a plan to ramp up your invites of this momentum season, get people to show up on Easter, but more importantly, getting them to come back, because if we can't get them to come back, we can't start a discipleship journey with them. And so when we actually start planning with our churches for Easter, we don't start with Easter. We actually start with Mother's Day and we work backwards because we know this. Our goal is not to get people to church. Our goal is to get people to heaven. Okay. And part of that starts with, we got to get people on a discipleship journey. And if we can't get people back, so we start with the idea of the goal of, we got to get people back. And then we back into, okay, what are we going to do on Easter with the goal of, man, we're high-fiving, when people show up on Easter, we're hugging and fist bumping and crying when people are baptized in the weeks to follow, right? And they're showing back up and life transformation is happening. And so for a lot of our churches, we got to move beyond just planning for a big event to Easter to starting with planning for big long-term impact. And the Ultimate Easter Kit is one of our resources that we provide on that we give away to churches all around the world, which, by the way, in the chat, if you've ever used our Ultimate Easter Kit, would you please let us know in the chat? That'll be a cool I love to see that feedback. But what's crazy is that we see churches all over the world utilizing that kit as our way to kind of bless local churches that impact the kingdom. So it's a really cool tool that we have to help churches with that. But you do need, so we recommend, if maybe you're just a baby church and you're starting somewhere, start with maybe the Ultimate Easter Kit. If you're like, man, we've done that for a couple of years and we're building momentum, we're building ministry strength, I think now's the step to start adding some ad campaigns, invite ads. And we do want to show you like what we do with our Grow churches and see a lot of success around these momentum seasons is we do these custom campaigns for churches using Google's money to get the word out and invite people to church around these momentum seasons. So you can see here, this is Pastor Antonio's church there in the Bronx. Love Pastor Antonio. I don't know if he's on here, but hey, man, if you are, our team was able to create ads to spend over $3,500 to get the word out if people around his church about Easter activities. So they do all this keyword research around what people are searching for, Easter activities for kids, Easter events, churches that can worship, Easter service times, that sort of stuff. You can see here that almost 10,000 people saw these ads, and 1,000 people went from seeing the ad to learning more about what Pastor Antonio's church was going to do on Easter. And so you can see there, when you get a little bit of strength, now you want to start thinking, okay, what about the automatic invite system? How can it work for us in this time with both Facebook and Google? That's really like some really great traction that you can have there. We do the same thing around Mother's Day as well. This was a church in Ohio that spent, sorry about the I'm like, look you $1,500 inviting their community to church around Mother's Day there. You can see that they were able to get 373 people from those searches on Google to check out more information about the church's Mother's Day activities happening there. And so that's one of the really cool things as you put your plan together. If you're a church that's got a little bit of strength, or you want to go all in, as Chris say, you want to go hard in the paint. Is that a basketball thing?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So if you want to go hard in the paint, as Chris would say, doing this type of where you're using Google's money during the momentum seasons to build ad campaigns, inviting people to church, because you are going to get a lot of momentum in the search volume of people looking for the thing that your church is doing. Okay. So the next season, walk us through this. This is really after Mother's Day through the summer. So what season are we going into here?
Yeah. So we've got a ministry season going throughout the summer. Right? I know a lot of times we kind of not so affectionately refer to this as the summer slump. Right, is man, you've got Easter, you've got Mother's Day, right, and then as school gets out, right, and everyone starts going on vacation, right, then attendance goes down, giving goes down, right. So a lot of people talk about the summer slump, but the cool thing is the summer slump is actually a massive opportunity, right. This is a huge ministry season, and so if we can go hard in the paint and really and really be good stewards during the ministry season of the summer, right, have some of the right systems in place, have some of these things in place during the summer, then you can really harvest with the next momentum season that's coming.
Summer, obviously, Father's Day is a great opportunity there. It's a little bit different, so you got to have a different approach than Mother's Day. I feel like all the moms want the family in church.
Yep.
All the dads want to grill a steak. So you got to tweak which is great, right? You need to have a different approach that you can do a little bit more ministry. We have a Father's Day kit that will help you really raise and disciple more men in your congregation. It's a really cool opportunity that you have there as well. But one of the cool things that we want to highlight in this season, We see amazing testimonies come out of this. We want to double, triple, quadruple down on this in years to come. This is a huge thing. And I think you guys have seen this at work in our culture here recently. But this whole idea of praying for your community. If you've heard Chris, he talks about this called prayer ads. But here in the summer, we recommend that you do could be like a 30-day challenge. You could do this throughout the entire summer where you pray for your community. This is really crazy how open our culture is to prayer. They may not believe what we believe. They might not even believe that there's a God. But I'm telling you, when their life hits the fan, they don't mind a pastor praying for them. In fact, they love it. And it's one of the best ways to build relationships with people in your community and do ministry with people in your community. So would you unpack, you have YouTube videos on this, but a prayer ads here is where we want our Grow churches really doubling down. Yep. If you do this, you are setting yourself up for a huge harvest in our next season. But walk us through what is a prayer ad?
Yeah, so a prayer ad is essentially, and let me say this so I don't forget. Rachel Anderson, I saw your comment in the chat. Rachel said she only has $100 budget for the entire year. Rachel, you used to only have $100 budget. You now have $120,000 a year, right? Google's going to cut that check, and you can use that, right, to build out your own automatic invite system. And so I just want to put that right. It doesn't matter what you currently have right now. With the Google grant, you have access to $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year in free Google ads, right? So let me just point that out. So be encouraged. That's a really big deal. The prayer ads are awesome. This is something that I'm really, really excited about. We've seen this over the last several years. Is basically it's this idea of running an ad in your community saying, hey, what's up? My name is Pastor Chris. How can I pray for you? Right. And then what happens is people are going to submit their prayer request to you. What this does is it's going to create that connection between people. Right. So this is not us trying to invite people into church. We're not trying to get butts in seats. All we're trying to do is we're going all in on ministry, right? Not marketing, ministry. And we want to make a connection with people, right? And so what happens is if you go in there, pray for people, there's basically kind of two parts of it. And we've got some training on this. There's a bunch of videos on the YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, type in my name, Chris Abbott, and you can find some of this. But it's basically running an ad that says, how can I pray for you, right? And then bringing them into like Facebook Messenger and using automated responses to collect their prayer requests, right? And connect with them. And then what we recommend is basically two things. Number one, you want to send them an audio prayer. Right, where you're basically just introducing yourself, you're praying for them, and then you end it with a question, right? Just an invite to church that Sunday. Right, so you want to send an audio prayer to every single prayer request that comes in. The second thing you want to do is for those people who say, yes, I do want to come to church on Sunday, that you call those plan your visits, is what we call them, within 15 minutes, right? So we've been doing this. Again, the churches that are like our Grow churches out here have probably been using this. What you can expect typically when you do this the right way is about 10% of the people that you pray for will then come out to church, right? So we tell churches, man, you want to go in here and your goal needs to be to pray for 1,000 people in your community, right? And again, the goal is not butts and seats. We're not trying to get people in, but if you go all in on ministry, not marketing, and you just pray for people, then what's going to happen is by the time you get to 1,000 people that you've prayed for, you'll have had about 100 new people that have planned a visit to your church, right? And typically, like we see about a 75% show up rate at our church, right? So that's just kind of the cool thing is you're going to reach a ton of new people, but it's by going all in on the ministry side of things, right? And just really building that relationship.
Man, it's so good. So guys, just keep in mind, when we go into the next momentum season, I just want to double down on, man, we want a big back to school, kickoff, and we want these large fall events. Have you done the work during this ministry season? Because if you've been praying for hundreds of people, now your invite to your next season is an overflow of that ministry that you've done. Mm-hmm. And yes, people are going to be like asking you for money, and people, just spoiler alert, people are needy. People are messy. And one thing I do want to say is I've been in a church that started out with 0, that grew to over 1,000. I've been in a church that was 1,000 to 2,000. I've been in a church that I was the creative director that went from 3,000 to 10,000. Here's what I've seen from 0 to 10,000. The larger your church gets, the more problems and issues you will have, the more messy it becomes. So don't be envious of the mega church pastor down the road. He's got more problems than you. I can promise you that. And so there's this notion, I think, for younger leaders that you think, man, if I just get to that point, life will be good and I will be fulfilled. if it's taking numbers to fulfill you, you are going to be miserable, because the more numbers you get, the more miserable you get, because the less you'll be fulfilled, the more problems that you will have. So ministry is messy. And part of what we're doing here is we're accelerating your mess. So you can say, hey, thank you, Ryan and Chris. So this is going to be getting into people's messy situations. But here's what we know. We can invite God into their situation. And we can, with the person that can make a difference, we have the ability through prayer to invite God into those situations and invite God to start working into those situations. When you get involved with the mess of your community, guess what happens during your momentum season? You get to invite the people that you've been doing life with and you've been doing ministry with, you've been praying with, so you can get to say, hey, we're doing this cool thing. Can you make it? Right. And so I just want to, again, to caution you, because some of the younger leaders, you want to cut right to, I want to be behind the pulpit. Everybody needs to hear my brilliant sermon, and I want the sanctuary full without doing the work of the mess. Okay. And it just can be a very big trap that either the belief that one day you will be fulfilled, or I can have a ministry without the mess. It just doesn't happen. And so summer's going to get messy, and you need to be able to live in that and celebrate that. And that's going to set you up for the next season. One of the things I saw in the comments was about kids and students programming, vacation Bible schools, summer camps. We speak to that a lot more in the downloadable guide, because we had a lot more time. I know we've been going a while here, and we want to cover in depth, but there are some things, believe it or not, we cut out lots of things. So summer is a great time for kids and family ministry as well. So you set me up for the next slide, actually. Your automatic invite system should be working well in the summer as well. So this is a church that did like a movie night over the summer. So think about this. This was in July. They did a movie night. We used $4,300 of Google's money to get the word out to 1,800 people, and almost 2,000 people went over to the church's website to learn about the movie night in July. Okay, so some of you guys are moaning about like, man, summer is like we just got to step back and stop. Quit focusing on what we don't have and focus on what we do have. We have an amazing God who loves our community more than us. We have creative people that can come up with ideas. We have Google that's willing to give us $10,000 in ad credit. We have these crazy guys, Chris and Ryan and their entire team, that will work with us, resource us, help us. We've got other pastors around the world that will help us share ideas. So sometimes we just got to get beyond the focus of what we don't have to, okay, what do we have? What can we do? And so, man, hats off to this team in Cincinnati that put together this movie night, and thank you for Google for funding $4,300 for us to get the word out about that. So we've got a lot of ideas. So we had one slide, maybe it comes later, where our team ran invite ads for like a vacation Bible school, getting the word out, people looking for kids activities over the summer, vacation Bible schools, things to do. So man, certainly you can run ads using Google, you can run Facebook ads, but summer is a great time to really double down on those family ministries as well. So thank you for bringing that up. That's a really important note. So August and September, what are we here now? So can you guys guess by now what we're doing here? Hopefully you can guess, but what do we got here, Chris?
Yeah. So have another momentum season. Obviously, when you're going all in on that ministry season during the summer, right? And then we've got as school starts back up and families come back, right? Now we've got this back to school momentum that typically goes, for August and September here. It's a great time for not only back to school events, bridge events, right? Like we like to do a back to school bash in our church a lot of times, and that's really, really helpful. And then obviously we've got some, with your visitor growth engine, which Ryan can talk about here, right? The crowd boost campaign. But this is a great time. People are getting back into a routine, right? You've been hanging out all summer, and all of a sudden you're getting back into routine, start going back to school, start going to soccer practice and football practice and cheerleading and dance and all that kind of stuff. And people start coming back to church. And so a great way to do that is to take advantage, be very intentional during this momentum season to take advantage of that and bring them in.
One of the things that we do at Summit Park Church that's worked well with us, we're here in Kansas City, so people are crazy about the Kansas City Chiefs. I think we underestimated. So there was a group of 40 of us that moved up from Springfield to Kansas City to start Summit Park Church in the fall of 2013. It was an eye-opening journey, but I was not prepared for the level of commitment people have to the Chiefs. It was shocking. We're like, where is everybody? Like, oh, it's a home game. Like, oh, okay, great. So one of the things that we do is we do a tailgate Sunday where we do a low barrier of entry bridge event. And I know sometimes, like when I was in college, I could get a little judgy of like, well, why is that church? Of course they're growing. They're giving away donuts, you know, like, and hey, take a step back from the judgment throne. And just here's the goal is there are a lot of people, if you're doing the summer ministry, that you're praying and they're in a mess and they've never been to church. And in fact, their mindset is, if I came to church, your sanctuary would implode. God would strike it with lightning and everybody would die if I showed up at that place. So what we're doing with a bridge event is we're creating a low barrier of entry to invite the people that we've been doing ministry with, right? So if you're praying with all these people that are in this mess and you say, hey, man, it's been great to get to know you. We're doing this cool thing called Tailgate Weekend. Would your family like to come out? We're grilling. We got lots of games. We're giving away Chiefs tickets. And people who are far from God would be like, man, I wouldn't typically go to church, but that thing sounds fun. Like, hey, yeah, save me a seat if you guys will host me around. And so that's what you're trying to do coming into now a momentum season, is build a bridge event. But again, I can't emphasize this enough. People think, okay, bridge event, just to randomly invite people. The bridge event is a next step for the people that you've been doing ministry with, right? Plus, you're going to invite everybody, but you need to be doing ministry. Then you invite them to a bridge event so you can get to meet them, and they can see like, oh man, I came to church, I understood it. Yep. God didn't strike me dead. In fact, it's just the opposite, that God loved me, that God wants to hang out with me, and So that's what you're trying to do. So if you ever hear about bridge events, you're like, man, those people are crazy. That's not in the Bible. That's just simply what we're trying to do is give people an easy next step to take the relationship to the next level. And practically speaking, for our churches, this is the season where we're actually building out the visitor growth engine in a boot camp because we're building the system out in time for the fall there. And we're doing the crowd boost campaign either for a big like bridge event like this or going into Christmas. So that's August and September.
I want to answer this because I think this is important. Roger wanted to know in the chat, what if you're a Lions fan? And the answer, Roger, is you need to repent. You need to give your life to Jesus and then come on over to the Chiefs Kingdom. Okay. Like, man, there's room on the bandwagon. Okay. Like, I'm a recovering Commanders fan, right? Like back when they were the Redskins, Washington football team, man, I repented and now I'm a Chiefs fan. And so,
and for fun, if you've got a sports team that you root for, throw that in the chat. It's always fun to see who you guys are rooting for.
A couple of Lions fans out there.
Yeah, my brother Paul's he's in Denver, so I apologize to all of our Bronco fans, but hey, we love everybody here. So okay, so October, November. This is a great ministry season. So Chris, walk us through. Ignore the scary jack-o'-lantern emoji there.
We couldn't find a smiling jack-o'-lantern.
I know, so
emoji. So we got the scary one. This is awesome for a lot of people who do right. Fall outreaches, trunk or treats, fall festivals, that kind of stuff, right? Like this is a great time for that. But it's typically a ministry season. You've got that big pop of the momentum season from back to school in kind of August, September, right? And then you're kind of riding that wave and kind of cruising through October, November, which is kind of a down ministry season. And the fall outreaches are great. The 21-day Pray for Your Community campaign is a great way, right, to just go all in on relationships, right? And Ryan said it earlier. Ministry flows out of relationships, and relationships take time. So in these ministry seasons, going all in on relationship and prayer is a great way to do that. So that's a perfect time in this October, November, before the holidays hit and everything, to kind of go all in on that ministry and prayer season. And Pray for Your Community campaign is a great way to do that.
For our Grow churches, we would love for you to keep the prayer ads running all year round, and hopefully you get to that point. For 2023, my hope would be for as many Grow churches as possible to at least do prayer ads starting off the summer and prayer ads here again in the later fall. Okay. If you can start there and kind of get used to it, get your team used to it, build up some prayer warriors, and then maybe hopefully get to the point where, man, we could do this all year round. Chris and I talk frequently that if we personally were going to start and plant a church, we would go all in and basically just try to pray for as many people in our community as 100%. Possible in the first 3 years. I think that's what we do with our launch team, is like, what if we just prayed for everybody in Lee Summit over the next 3 years?
Yep.
Like that, just, and we've got some more resources coming on that, but the prayer ads right now, we would say for all of our Grow churches, think and pray about, could you do a sprint starting off the summer and a sprint in the fall, And then let's do that. Let's get some ministry strength happening. And then let's evaluate to see maybe 2024, a lot of you guys would want to run that most of the year. So that's fall. Again, your automatic invite system is happening all the time. This was a trunk or treat event that our team set up custom ads for the trunk or treat. They were able to spend over $3,000 of Google's money inviting the community to trunk or treat. I believe, Molly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the one where Thrive Church reached out to our team and said, would you please pause the ad? We are a church of 200 people. We were expecting a few hundred at Trunk or Treat. We've already had 1,000 pre-register. Please stop the ads because we're not going to be able to host them well. So that's the power of the automatic invite system, is especially in these bridge type events that people are actively looking for. So Molly is our director of the Google kind of team there, and she's saying, yes, this is the one. And so that's Trunk or Treat. So you want your automatic invite system running all year round, inviting people that are looking for a church, telling people about the ministries that you have, but certainly around these different seasons, you want custom campaigns that are inviting people to Trunk or Treat and your ministries as well. So here's another one, a fall festival that a church did that we were able to spend $1,000. They did next year. I think they did a spring festival that we were able to double that. But if you're doing things throughout the fall, ideally, you want to take that money Google will give you and spend some of it to invite your community to those bridge events. It's a game changer when you take those events and add invite ads on Facebook and invite ads on Google as well. That just adds fuel to the bonfire there. So, Chris, December and January, this is our final ministry season that we're going to be talking about. It's a momentum season, but walk us through December and January here.
Yeah, so I think, we all know about the natural momentum that comes with Christmas, especially the beginning of the year, right? There's just a pop, kind of like back to school, where now the beginning of the year, everybody resets. They're writing out goals and kind of diving into figuring out their purpose and that kind of thing. And so a lot of people just kind of naturally come back to church. There's just kind of a natural reset at the beginning of the year. A lot of people come back to church. And so there's just this momentum season where we just, see a natural pop in our attendance. So having an intentional plan for this season is really, really important, because we don't want to just get somebody to come back once or twice, right? We know the only thing better than a first-time visitor is a second-time visitor. So having a plan to get people there and then to get them to come back again is really, really important in this season here.
January is big because how you start a year is huge, but we knew this workshop was going to be in January. So it's a little bit like, so we're praying that for you guys that are building your plan, January of 2024 is the biggest that you've ever had. And that momentum goes into the next season. And these seasons, the momentum build on each other. The amount of relationships that you have, the amount of relationships that you're having. So if you're praying for people and you're doing ministry and you're doing momentum, your next January will be a lot bigger than this one and Easter. And it just, you get build upon that. I will also say, this is a note. So one of the cool things that we get to do is look at what's working across hundreds of churches running these systems for them. Just something to note as you're planning December. When it comes around, I think in 2023, Christmas Eve is on Sunday. It's one of them. Christmas Eve is on Sunday. I think there's
Christmas Day is Monday.
Yeah. So one of the things that we notice is if you're doing a big bridge event in December, like you're doing like some fun photos with Santa, you're doing hot chocolate, you're doing all this, where you're intentionally trying to get people to start for the very first time a relationship with your church, we would actually recommend doing that in as early in December as possible. Because for new people who are far from God, who you want to invite and start that relationship, like that big bridge event, kind of like Tailgate Weekend that we did earlier, do that earlier in December. We found that churches that were trying to do the big bridge event in and around Christmas, it was an uphill battle because people who are far from God already had plans on Christmas Eve and Christmas, family plans. They were all already doing that. So if you want to start meeting people for the first time, do a Christmas event early in December. However, if your automatic invite system and your visitor growth engine have been working, you've been building your email list, you've been working it on social media, you've been following this plan, you still want to do we want to do a candlelight service in and around Christmas Eve. We want to do carols. We want to do communion, whatever your flavor would be. That's a great place to invite everybody who's been to your church. Even if they've been to your church once or twice, they probably call you their church home, right? So think about, if we have any connection at all man, real, saying, yeah, come out, let's worship together, let's celebrate together, Christmas Eve, Christmas, you have a much better shot of that crew. And what's cool is you get to invite all the people who you met on your early December to that thing that's happening Christmas Eve. So that's just that we were able to look at scale, like what churches are doing, what worked really well, what didn't. And we just noticed people trying to do big bridge events on Christmas Eve or on Christmas. It was an uphill battle this year. So just a little bit of a tip there as you're planning, move the bridge events early December, and then do like invite back in kind of more intimate family type events in and around Christmas Eve and Christmas. So this is, again, Christmas, you want your Google ads. This is one we were able to spend close to $7,000 and almost got 900 people to the website. Look at people in their community looking for things to do around Christmas, and Google paid for it. So you can see that there. I need to fly through this because, man, we are covering a lot of material, which, by the way, has this been good? Has this been helpful so far?
Yeah, let us know in the chat.
If this has been helpful, let us know in the chat. We do want to say, too, we are coming up on a time where we will do a whole bunch of Q&A. So if you've got questions and answers, please use the Q&A feature in the webinar, in the workshop. That'll help us go through all of your questions here. We will spend as much time as possible digging into those questions. One thing I do want to note, as you're putting your plan together for 2023, these are what I call plan multipliers. Plan multipliers. So if you take a screenshot or get the workbook, this is in the workbook. These are things as you're planning out. Every time you put something on your plan, remember these things because they will multiply the impact when it comes to your church having an influence in your community and getting visitors. Okay, let me go through the plan multipliers. And this is stuff that we see that is correlated with church growth after studying thousands of churches. The number one indicator that you're going to have a growing church is that your lead pastor prioritizes reaching the next generation. Again, let me say it again. The number one indicator that you're going to have a growing church is that your lead pastor prioritizes reaching the next generation. So think about it, a plan multiplier. When you go to plan Easter, when you go to plan your summer, when you go to do a bridge event, you need to be thinking, how are we going to really let the kids and student ministry lead the way in this area? It is a multiplier. If you do a big bridge event, but you leave out your family ministries, it's going to be an uphill battle. But if you let kind of that reaching the next generation lead the way, it is a multiplier of your plan. So when you go to put something on your plan, go back to this, put kind of a mental or a physical sticky note, and just remember, oh, we're planning for Easter and Mother's Day. Let's actually start with the kids in the family ministry. Okay, hopefully that's making sense. Number two, prioritize getting contact information. Every part of your plan, it's the law of the list. A growing list is going to lead to a growing church, and a growing church is going to have a growing list. So every part of your plan, if you're doing a trunk or treat, you're praying for people, you're doing a vacation Bible school, you need to say, team, time out. How are we using this step in the plan to collect contact information? Okay, that's a multiplier. The next multiplier is growing churches consistently capture and share photography. You don't need professional equipment. You need a junior hire and an iPhone. Okay. And just say, okay, we're planning this Mother's Day thing. We're planning tailgate weekend. We're planning this Christmas thing. Do we have a junior hire with an iPhone ready? Okay. Just put a sticky note, junior hire, iPhone, Christmas. Is it ready? Okay. Number four, a growing church budgets 3% or more on marketing. Maybe you're not there yet. You're kind of like our friend that said, hey, I only have $100. Hey, the good news is Google will give you $120,000. So now you have a mega church marketing budget. That's great. The other news is start small. Don't complain about where you're at. Start with what you have. And what we see in scripture is when you are faithful with what you have, God gives you more. So if you are trying to use what you have diligently, do you think God's going to give you more resources so you can go reach more people for the kingdom? We think yes. So don't worry about, work towards this. It's kind of like helping our people tithe. Work towards what we see where we want to be. And then the fifth one, plan multiplier, is growing churches have a stream of positive reviews online. And so you want to turn every step in your plan to now capture what God did and hook that person up with a tool to share that good news on Yelp, on Facebook, on Google. And because sharing that testimony is going to build, it's going to be a multiplier. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. That's 5 big multipliers. If every step in your plan, you use at least, a good portion of those multipliers, your plan will multiply, your momentum will multiply. So those multipliers are big. So put that on a sticky note. Every step in your plan, do a multiplier. So this is an example of a kids ad. The reason why I do this is because remember the multiplier is prioritizing kids ministry. So you want to use Google's money to reach people about your kids ministry. Okay. So we're able to run ads trying to target young families who are searching out, a place, whether it's a church or activities for their kids. And so this church, we were able to spend in this month alone, $4,400 and got 664 young families from the community onto their website looking about information about their kids ministry. Okay. So we want to use our automatic invite system to double down on things like those multipliers. And so that's one of the cool things that we're going to be doing for our Grow churches out there. So really 2023, what now? Okay. We talked about how a system works best. Chris was talking about how growth isn't a secret, it's a system. And really now is hopefully it's time to work your plan. Hopefully we've given you enough content where you're like, hey, you don't have to do all of it, but you can now have an understanding, hey, I can do this, I can do that. I understand the momentum seasons, ministry seasons. You can put that kind of in. We've given you a guide in the downloads there that has a lot more information and resources to help you work the plan. And so now we pray. I know we've got to only, we've been going an hour and a half here, and we pray this has been a blessing, but we now it's like, okay, what do we do next? And so really we see that a lot of churches at this point, you've got two options. And for a lot of you, option number one, go set up the system and let's get working on 23 and work the plan. Okay. If you're just starting out, man, let's get going. Let's build some strength. Let's do some ministry. Let's share the good news. Let's see God transform some lives, and let's pray like crazy that God helps us in this endeavor. Option number two, you partner with a team that will really do the heavy lifting for you and go on the journey with you. So some of you might say, man, this is awesome. This is great. Man, I love to partner with your team, and let's do this together. I love you guys. I love CMU, and let's go on this journey together. Plus, I sure could use a little bit of help actually doing this, running the automatic invite system, setting up the visitor growth engine. And so really you got two options there. And so Chris, we really want to ask, for you guys for permission, if we could share a little bit about our program with you. So
yeah, so just want to see, so for those, obviously you have two options. We tried to put all the cookies on the bottom shelf, walk you guys through a detailed plan, right, and make everything as easy to understand as possible, talking about the twin turbos and everything, and lay it all out so that you can do it yourself. But for those of you guys who would rather do option number two, and actually partner a team, would it be okay if we just took the next 10 minutes or so to tell you about an offer that we specifically created just for all of the churches on this workshop? So if that's okay, if you guys want to hear it, will you guys just put that in the chat and just let us know if that's okay? We just want to make sure, obviously, only if that's going to be helpful for some of you guys who are more option two, saying, hey, yes, we'd rather just partner with a team. So yes, Nathan says, yeah, please do. Nick. Okay.
I feel a little bit like in fifth grade again, where you pass a note of like, hey, do you like me? Circle yes or no. Like, oh, this is vulnerable.
Bro, I don't want to brag, but I did ask Jen Seidemann out like that in 8th grade by sliding a note. All right. So, and by the way, she said, yes, Jen Seidemann was my girlfriend for weeks. I'm sure it was all good. Okay. So, man, introducing this is our CMU Grow program. We put together a special offer again, just for you guys who are on this workshop here today.
So if you see maybe that you're a part of Grow, you want to give a shout out. This is one of our favorite people in the world, Zach Minton. He's normally the guy on our workshops talking about ice cream, but I love this from Zach. He says that Grow is one of the best staff members we have, which is one of the best compliments that we have. Is what's cool is our team that's obsessed with helping your church get more visitors. We really become your team. And so Chris and I partnered together last year, and we invited our first 100 churches into this program. And really the goal is, man, let's become kind of your outreach team, and let's partner together and go on this adventure and see what we can do. So, man, that's one of the highest compliments we can get, is when a Grow church will say, hey, you guys are the best staff member that we have. And I'll give you a spoiler alert. We're probably one of the cheapest staff members churches have, especially nowadays when like a pizza is like $80. So I don't know what's going on with pizza, but it's $80. Deliveries $50, a tip's $90. I'm just inflation. So, hey, the Grow program, really the core of it is our team we really obsess with helping your church reach people. The big part of it is the automatic invite system that we're talking about with the Google grant is done for you. That's the core of Grow. And really our goal is to make sure that your church doesn't get left behind. We help you stay ahead of the curve. And this January, again, like last January, we are cool and excited to announce that we're opening up our next 100 spots in the Grow program. So one of the things that this program is unique is it is a high quality limited program where we say, okay, we have a team. The team is amazing. You'll get a chance to meet them at the upcoming welcome party. High caliber people, love Jesus, love your church, want to help you. But we also know this is like we can't serve, a billion churches at the level that we want to serve churches in this Grow program. So we opened up a limited amount of spots to make sure that the quality of the program is high. So this is not like Disney World the day after Christmas where the park is at 800% capacity and everybody's mad and nobody's having a magical time, right? So we want to keep the magic here. And really, if you're in the Grow program, our team commits to you that, man, we will do anything that we can to help your church reach people. And so it really is an obsession for us. The core of Grow is this automatic invite system that you've seen throughout the plan. So we want you to work the plan, but our team, we set up and maximize that $10,000 a month of Google grant campaigns for your church. So that includes invite ads, ministry ads, community ads, and the big mind-blowing thing that when we talk with people that know about this program is the ability to offer custom ads. Those are the ads like, hey, we're doing this vacation Bible school or trunk or treat, or we have this really unique marriage ministry or divorce care. So if you're here in the chat, do you have a unique ministry? Maybe put one of the unique ministries that you have there in the chat, because our team sets up custom ads for almost every page on your website, every ministry that you have, along with the invite ads from those ministry momentum seasons and the ministry ads from the ministry seasons, the community ads that we're talking about. And these are ads going to people in and around your church that are searching for what your church has to offer. So the Google Grant program is amazing, but there are a few little things that if you're working with a team of experts, it's very, very helpful. So meeting their requirements, keeping in good standing. Google's probably most of the time is going to say, hey, your grant got pulled away. We can reach out and kind of get that figured out. So there's a lot of things that working with a team of expert is a huge game changer on. And so that's big part. That's the core of Grow is the automatic invite system. And we set it up for you. And really the cool part about this, the visual is people in your area are searching for hope. They're searching for help. They're searching what your church has to offer. Really what we do is just make sure that those people find your church using the automatic invite system, get them to your website, and we will help you kind of help them plan a visit and turn those online visitors into Sunday morning visitors. So if we could simplify it, this is about as simple as we can get. People are searching for what your church has to offer. This is what we do is we work every single hour, every single day to make sure that those people find your church, and then your website gets them to your Sunday morning gathering. So that's kind of a recap there. Now the price, if you're like me, you're a little bit of more of a Scrooge. You're like, okay, well, what does this mean? I'm already getting nervous. Hey, chill out. It's not threatening here. Really to compare this, if you've been around a while and your church has ever sent out a direct mailer, by the way, let us know in the chat, have you ever done a direct mail piece? So if you've done a direct mailer like once a year, a lot of churches have a line item like, hey, yeah, we kind of do a mailer once a year. Typically, if you look at print, postage, your time, your design, all in, you're looking at about $5,000 to send out a small community mailer once a year. So this would be the equivalent of that. So we think, hey, yep, there's a time and a place for mailers. We put the mute button on Chris on that, but we think for the equivalent, we could run the automatic invite system and work with your church all year round. We think we can get you a much better return on that investment. So that's about the equivalent. We will say this, if you go out and price a Google Ads expert or agency to run just the grant for you, you're looking at $500 to $1,500 a month. One of Sherry on our team was talking about a church that she was working with. They learned that we were about to open this up on the workshop, and they were, I think, quoted about $1,000 a month or more to run. And they're like, why are you guys not charging $1,000? In fact, they're like, well, and if you can only pay $750, we'll do it, but we'll only run $5,000 worth of ads. So if you go out there and you do the research, it's very likely that you will find agencies that you're somewhere the $500 to the $1,500 a month for this type of service. So real quick, just to be straight up honest with you guys, Grow is not for churches looking for a short-term fix. Grow is not for churches that are struggling a ton financially. We have a different kind of program that we can help get you started, but really you need a little bit of financial strength to get going on this. And we don't want this to stress you out. We want this to be like, oh my word, we've been looking for a great way to reach our community. We've got some budget to spend. This sounds awesome. Let's go for it. It's very similar to sending out a missionary. You would hesitate to send out a missionary like, we can only support you for a week. It's like, this is not the program, right? This is very much like, we're partnering with you. We want you to look at this like, let's partner for the next decade and do some kingdom building for a decade, okay? And churches looking for the silver bullet miracle, please do not enroll and grow. This is not going to save your church. This is not a silver bullet. This is not going to lead to 1 billion people in your sanctuary tomorrow. It takes hard work. It takes commitment. Again, very much like sending out a missionary. You got to have that mindset. But we truly feel, and we've dedicated our life to this, that it is an amazing program and will help your church. But it is not for these type of churches. So who is Grow for? Grow is for Jesus-centered churches. You love Jesus. You're doing the main things. You serve your community. You love your community. You just need help getting the word out. Churches where your local missions is a priority and you have some budget set aside for that, and churches looking for a long-term ministry partnership around the idea of reaching people. So if that describes you, man, you are going to love Grow. So this is not for, man, we're kind of a new age ministry that kind of gets people. This is Jesus-centered church. You keep the main things. You love your neighbor, and you're ready to just, man, we just need a partner with an amazing team to get the word out. You are going to love Grow. So you can see here, you want to read some of these kind of testimonies. We absolutely love this, man. This stuff fires us up.
Well, so, Doug was saying, man, I started Grow, cut out all the other fluff stuff, right? All the other subscriptions, move my budget around to include it. It's priceless. And in the end, it'll pay for itself, which is exactly what we're trying to do. Daryl said, man, CMU Grow is worth the money. We had plateaued and we're not seeing any visitors. I'm sure so you guys can relate, right? He said, now we have a steady stream of people that either visited or are planning to visit our church. And we have so much more to install in the CMU Grow system, which is awesome.
So Grow is a $497 a month investment. Like we mentioned, we are opening 100 spots up on this workshop. So congratulations. You guys have the greatest chance to grab one of these spots. And we have continued great news. So for this live workshop, it's not going to be $497 a month. It's $397 a month. That'll give you if you're like me, you love a little price break. So that'll give you a great discount there. And you have the ability, if you want to pay annually, that will bring it down to $333 a month when paid annually. So we want to do whatever we can. Again, very similar to if you look at, investment of sending out one mailer. If you're used to that, this should be like, man, this seems like a no-brainer. We could either send out one small mailer, or we could have this team running our automatic invite system, working this, using up to $10,000 a month in ads. So the return on investment, if you're used to, sending out a mailer, would be very similar to that. We think the future of Grow, it probably next time we open this up will be closer to the $497. So we're working towards probably a more fair price, but you guys are jumping in, you are taking a risk on us. And so we want to honor that and give you guys a really amazing offer there. So really, if you're taking this to like a leadership finance, the easiest way to just kind of explain this is we give this amazing team $397 a month, and we get back $10,000 a month in campaigns to invite our community and get the word out about our ministry. Okay, so if you're decent at math like I am, $397 out, $10,000 in. If that computes for you, it's a pretty good return on investment equation. So if to boil it down, the offer, if you kind of see nothing else, it should be like, okay, put $397 in, and this team runs $10,000 a month in ad credit. It hopefully, again, for the right church, provided you're the right church, we hope it's a no-brainer investment for your church. Now, for those of you who have a finance guy that's always nervous, we know, hey, I lean this way. So there's 2 money-back guarantees that you will never see anything out there like this. Okay, so pay attention. Money-back guarantee number 1 is you have 30 days. No questions asked. So if you need to grab a spot now and then go get a finance committee, hey, I need a couple weeks to run this by my board or finance committee, you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. We would recommend grab one of the spots and then you have 30 days, no questions asked. Another part of that guarantee in 30 days, our team works with you to get the Google Ad Grant up and running. And if for some reason you don't qualify, you can't get it approved, hey, you've got 30 days. You need to do your part. It's very, very simple. But if for some reason we can't get the automatic invite system approved for you, we'll give you your money back, no questions asked. Guarantee number 2, and this is a little bit mind-blowing, is if you get the automatic invite system up and going, and we run that for a year, and you go through and we work with you and you get the Visitor Growth Engine course done and installed, and we have the boot camp to help you with that. If you do those 2 things and we work together for a year and you don't see more visitors, we will give the money you paid to CMU back, okay? And that's, Chris likes to point this out and makes me nervous every time. It's not just the money that you paid to CMU, but it's also the money that we're going to pay our team to run all this for you. We are out that money as well. And so our hope is, in our prayer, is to help local churches get more visitors than ever before. And we think it's fair that if you've done your part and if you've done the work and you've got those things running and it's not working, and we can't get you more visitors in a year, again, provided that those 2 things are going, we will give the money that you paid to CMU back. So there's nothing else out there. And hopefully that is just a communication of our heart that, hey, we will do everything that we can to help your church. And if for some reason it just wasn't a fit, hey, no, there's no risk. We are assuming all of the risk. So there's nothing quite out there like that. And so if you want to try to grab one of those 100 spots, we feel like it will go quick. You can go over to churchmarketinguniversity.com/order. churchmarketinguniversity.com/order. And I think we do have maybe a little bit of a button that will pop up that you will click there and see. I don't know if we can see it or not. Let us know if you can see it. If not, we will. Oh, wait. Yeah, it's there.
Oh, okay.
It's
Perfect.
there.
Perfect.
So it looks like it's out there. So if you guys can see it, let us know. And you can jump over again. If you want just the link, jump over to churchmarketinguniversity.com/order. If all the technology is working right, you should see the amount of spots left over there as well. Or in the chat, you can say click offer there, and that'll get you over to the order form as well. So Craig, if you want to hear from some of the churches that jumped in, Craig is saying this is the best value around. Doug is saying, yes, that's good. This is amazing. Doug prayed for over 2,600 people and had hundreds of plan your visits. So PYV, plan your visits. It's amazing the amount of ministry. And again, this is not about necessarily butts and seats. This is about the ministry that you guys are going to be doing over the next year. Yes, we want to get people to your Sunday services, but the ministry and the ministry stories that we hear from our Grow churches is really what fire us up. We do have some cool bonuses too, okay? So bonus number 1 is the Visitor Growth Engine. So the Core Grow is that automatic invite system. Bonus number 1 is the Visitor Growth Engine. We're going to go through the Visitor Growth Engine Bootcamp or course, and we'll help you set up that system. So if you remember the 8 parts of the system, not only are we going to run the automatic invite system for you as the Core Grow, but as this bonus, we're going to help you set up your church's Visitor Growth Engine so you can have the Twin Turbo. Bonus number 2 is what we call Grow Coaching. You want to walk through this one? So this is really cool.
This one I love because I think Ryan and I both have heart to like teach and coach, and we really enjoyed it. That's why we put on this workshop, and we've enjoyed it so much. So we have exclusive Grow boot camps throughout the course of the year, which are going to be incredible. I think where we basically just focus on one thing, and we knock it all out, right? So like when Easter ads are coming up, we'll literally just do a quick boot camp, right? We'll jump in. I'm going to lay out like literally, I'm going to give you the ads to run, copy paste everything, and then by the end of the boot camp, you have all of your Easter ads done, and it's all good. And then we build out all of the invite system for that on the automatic invite system side of things. So we're gonna have quarterly coaching calls. We'll do, your whole team's gonna have dashboard access to all the training and all the coaching videos and everything. And then you've got a panic button, right? So if you're freaking out, you're like, I don't know what to do, and I've got a question, right? And you're worried like, oh, what's gonna happen? You have a panic. We just hit the panic button. You can talk to our team, and we can help you through anything you need.
Yeah, so that coaching is really like our team, again, just committing. We're going to be there with you. This isn't a, hey, I jumped in and where did they go? This is a, hey, if you're jumping in, our commitment to you is an obsessed level of let's get going And these are the different ways that we're going to serve you. And you can always know, man, if they're like, man, I need to know how my automatic invite system is. I'm panicking. Hey, oh my gosh, Pastor just said we got this trunk or treat coming up and I forgot, like smash that panic button. That's like putting up the Chris bat signal, and we'll get over and help you as much as possible. Look at
what Julie just put in the chat. She said in January of last year, they averaged 60 people. Scroll down just a little bit. What is this? There we go. And then in February, they signed up with Grow, with CMU Grow, and now they're averaging 147. So in a year through Grow, they've gone from 60 to 147. Julie, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, just a testament to how hard you guys have been working, setting up the systems, like working the program. So that's amazing.
Yep. So guys, that's bonus number 2 is Grow coaching. I did see some current Grow churches that are asking, hey, do I need to sign up for this and pay another $397 over on top of what I am paying? No, the answer is no. So Grow churches, this isn't a price doubling for you. So if you're in the program, this is the plan that we're implementing for your church in 2023. So just to make sure that you're aware of that. Bonus number 3 is our growth tools. So we've got 2 church growth softwares that you're going to get included. The kits and easy buttons that you've seen on all the slides, the prayer ad system that Chris talked about that we want you to do in the summer and in the fall. And then Chris, this is one of your favorites.
I love this. I mean, we've got the prayer ad system, which I'm obviously super excited about. You guys have probably heard me talk about, and we're just gonna help you install that. We have the whole system, literally plug and play for you, and that's just going to be one of the bonuses you're going to have inside of Grow.
And I know we just are skipping over some of this bonus, but before we partnered together and created one super company, you ran Church Growth Agency.
Yep.
You did just the prayer ads. What did you charge just for that one little item? So that is a bonus.
We charged $2,500 just to sign up the prayer ads, and then like the full boat, like all the campaigns, whatever, was $7,500. So you had to choose between $2,500 and $7,500. There's probably a bunch of churches on here that paid that back in the day, whatever, and now we're offering that as a bonus inside of Grow.
So guys, I know we're going fast, but like when we're talking bonus, like these are legitimate. This isn't like, oh yeah, that sounds nice. Like that carries some major financial opportunity there. So, and then this is really cool. So Chris talked me into this one. I'm nervous about this one, but Chris twisted my arm. For those people live on the workshop, which is, I'm nervous because we still have 1,500 people on here. This is a special bonus for the people on the workshop. That if you jump in and you take a risk on our team and enroll during the workshop, so you have until this thing ends, till we get booted out here, you are going to get a one-on-one coaching call with somebody on the CMU team. And you can use this anytime in the next year in your journey. So if you like, man, I'm running the prayer ads, I need to talk with Caleb on the team about this or that, right?
I'm here for you.
Caleb's right over here. So this is pretty crazy and this is, again, I just want to be clear for people that jump in and grab one of the spots, just while we're live on this workshop, you are going to lock in a one-on-one coaching call with somebody on the team. It's going to be based on like what you want to talk to an ads expert, you want to talk to the Google team, you want to talk to the prayer team, you want to chew my ear off. Like, so however we can help you, you can use this coaching call within your first year of Grow. Okay. So if you want to wait till like, man, I really want to talk with somebody, dial in my Christmas strategy. We're launching a new campus this fall. So I want to talk with somebody early summer to get our marketing plan together. Again, special bonus. I pray I don't regret saying yes to Chris's idea, but you are going to lock in a coaching call with a member of the CMU team for those people who jump in during the live workshop. Now, again, keep in mind, you also have that 30-day money-back guarantee. So I would, if you're at all considering it, leaning toward, I would jump in, grab a spot, grab the bonus. You have 30 days to still get your money back. But if you want to lock in that bonus, that would be my recommendation. And then again, there's no risk whatsoever. If you're like, man, I'm 80% in, I just need to clear this with my, co-pastor or associate or lead or executive or whatever it is, I would at least jump in, grab that bonus, and then you have 30 days to get that money back if it doesn't work out.
I'll say this, and I think people are putting this in the chat, but we opened up 100 spots. We have 27 left. So we So Caleb thinks the system can't keep up because you guys are signing up so fast, which is awesome. But so legit, I mean, Ryan just mentioned it, but like our heart is to help every single person that wants help, right? You have two options. If you want our help, we want to help you. And so if you have to run it by your pastor, your finance committee, your board, whatever it is, right? Just go ahead and sign up. If you want this bonus, that you get the one-on-one coaching call and you get a spot before we run out. And then if they say no, like no problem, like we don't, like we'll just give you all of your money back, right? Like so we legitimately just want to help the people that want help here. So if you want our help, great. But we want to throw that out there for everybody that decides to jump on before we end this workshop. You get that free one-on-one coaching call, and again, you can use it at the beginning as onboarding, or you can wait a little while and then jump on or whatever and have us take a look at some stuff. But we just want to take this stuff off your plate. We know you're busy. We know you don't have a lot of time, so we're not trying to add a bunch of things to your plate. We're trying to take it off, right? I know in ministry the hardest thing is that everybody's like, "Hey man, you got a minute? Hey man, you got a minute?" Right? And it's like everybody wants to put stuff on your plate. We are here to take things off and to actually free up time. So we just want to help those of you guys who want our help.
I just had this mental picture of a pastor in a ministry moment, and then them just smiling, thinking, "Man, this is important." And I also know the CMU team is inviting people to church Sunday for me, right? Like, yeah. So that's really cool. Hopefully, it does free you up to do only what you can do. Man, we'll work hard at what we can do, and you get some more time back to do what only you can do there in your community. This is a cool one. Speaking of community, it really does feel like a family for those who will jump in. It does feel like, man, we hear so many testimonies of people saying, man, it just felt like I have allies, people cheering me on, people who are there for me, people who understand. And for so long, I felt like I was doing this alone, and to have people who are there with me in the trenches, it's especially since, we've been through some hard seasons. And so to have a community that's like, man, let's go for it. God's best days are ahead of you and ahead of your church. Let's not, be down about it. Let's mourn for some things that happen, but tomorrow is a new day, and let's go after it. So it really does feel like a family. Charity Lane, which I see Charity on here, we have to admit it, she's our favorite person.
We love some Charity Lane.
So she's like, it's seriously like having a whole team on board working for you. It's awesome. And if you're lucky, you'll get to hang out with Charity. And I feel like Charity's also like, she's on the team, and you'll get some advice and input from Charity as well. So we all help one another. So again, if you want to jump in, churchmarketinguniversity.com/order, grab one of those spots. I'm hearing from Caleb and the team that if we do sell out of the spots live on this webinar, we are going to honor the one-on-one coaching for anybody who's still on the webinar. Right. So he said, so either the system crashed, which is awesome, or something happened. We'll figure it out if you guys crash the system. But the good news is, if you grab the spot during the live webinar, we can see when those spots come in. So if you were there, our team is putting you in the one-on-one coaching bucket.
I would say that if it says, which we didn't think we'd sell on while we were going here, but even though it's sold out, like if you guys still want to get on, just sign up and we'll take care of it. As long as you sign up before this is over, we'll figure it out. We'll find a spot for you, and we'll still get you that bonus. And then we'll meet as a team and figure out what we want to do after this. But if you still want in, just go ahead and sign up, and we'll figure it out on our end.
Allosaurus Rex, that's her screen name, nickname. I literally cannot talk about you guys enough. Such incredible value, honesty, unbelievable. I can't. This is one I can't read. Hopefully you guys could read, but just the Ryan saying, just wondering you can help us with. Oh, this is the trunk or treat one where they're like, had to turn it off. We had 1,000 people pre-registered. Praise God for now. Our team probably can just focus on the organic traffic and word of mouth. They were only expecting about 300 to 500 guests. That's the trunk or treat one. So that's really cool. Anytime, it doesn't always happen, but anytime we can shut your system down, we celebrate. So we absolutely love this. Hey, I have seen in the chat, I was like, man, how can I talk to you guys? I've got some questions. We've got a couple different ways coming up where you can get your questions answered. So one of the things that we're doing next Thursday, same time, similar place, Thursday, the 12th at 11 a.m., we are having our Grow welcome party. Okay. So you need to have your spot secured, locked in by then. It's another reason why we open certain amount of spots up is because it allows us to take the group through this experience all together, which allows us to bring the price down because we can do this as a party environment and get everybody going at once, which is cool. Which your benefit of that is we don't have to charge you $1,500 a month. So that's our way that we can make sure that we can keep it reasonable for local churches. So you need to have your spot by then. We will help you at the welcome party to get going as quickly as possible. We'll answer any of your questions. We will explain all of the bonuses. So I can't, your mind is going to be blown when you actually see what you're going to get. We don't have time to unpack that. When you get into the welcome party and you hear the things that are going to be included, you're going to be like, best decision ever. So the key is grab your spot. Remember, you have 30 days on the money back guarantee, but block off January 12th. We will have a welcome party where we will get going with the Google grant. We'll get you answer any questions that you have. We'll explain all the details and all of the bonuses, ins and outs. So that's a big one coming up. When you jump in, this is really kind of going to be what we take you through getting started. So at the welcome party, so right now you're at step 1, we enroll and grow. The welcome party will get you started applying and securing the Google grant. Next step, as soon as possibly can, we'll set up and start running your ad campaigns. We want to have as many churches rocking as much money by Easter is a great kind of mental framework. Man, if we can spend $10,000 for you in the month of March, that really is kind of a benchmark mentally to think about. Then our team gets to working maximizing your $10,000 a month. And then you get to add fuel to the fire. That's the bonuses. That's the prayer ads, visitor growth engine, the plan, the coaching calls. If you want to do some of the things that we talked about throughout the year, our team is here to help you implement the plan. But this is where you're going to start your experience, and we get spending that money as fast as possible. Again, that's the link if you want to jump in, churchmarketinguniversity.com/order there. So Pastor Ken is saying, hey, Molly, wondering if you could help me. First of all, I must say the traffic we now get is awesome in our church in Newcastle. I think this is our UK friend. We have a couple UK churches, which is cool to see. Grow was worldwide. I mean, we can hardly have room for people to seat in our main hall. So something is happening. And this is Pastor David. This one might be too small. I can see
that is at least on our screen.
Yeah. So if you can blow that up and see it, we'll get that blown up. But you guys get the idea here of just the grow churches that are jumping in and the issues that the good issues that they're having, right? Like if we can cause good issues, man, it's awesome. And it's cool to see. I think this one here, I used the Google ads for nonprofits before the Grow program. We actually got it a new family because of Google ad grant. But part of my presentation was showing how much money we left on the table. Basically, we spent about $2,000 over 7 months ish with the ads. So they were building the ads themselves. Now that it was free, but far from optimized. The CMU team took over and they spent more in the 2 or 3 weeks, more than that in 2 or 3 weeks. So you will notice our team has a 3-phased approach where we ramp up as fast as we can to that $10,000. So it does take a few months depending on your situation, but that's cool to see. So maybe you're in a church that you have the grant, but you're not maximizing the $10,000. This is an easy win. One of the cool things that we're about to do here momentarily is we are going to give you guys a chance to talk. So a couple of the CMU team, if you could jump over into Zoom, if you're like, man, I need to talk to somebody kind of one-on-one, we are going to give you that opportunity here shortly. Give us a few minutes on this, though. I want to come back to this before we officially kick that off. Because I do want to take your guys' questions. Okay. So again, I'll keep this up here if you need to jump in and do the order, but I want to jump over first and do the Q&A publicly because that might answer a lot of questions. And then we can jump over to Zoom from there if you still need to talk. So David got so excited, he signed up twice. Hey, David, no worries. So David took one of the extra spots. He got so excited, he signed up twice. So, hey, David, no worries. Sherry from our team Sherry and Casey are amazing. They'll get that handled and taken care of. We'll get that canceled out on your credit card. So no worries. It may take a few hours to see that cancel out, but we'll get that taken care of. So the next question from Pam. Also, any advice to get members to come back who've never come back after COVID and who aren't going anywhere else? So Pam, the good news is if you take the momentum in ministry seasons seriously, now I probably would spend most of my energy focusing on new families. But if you are just kind of, hey, we want to do ministry, we're inviting people out, and you start to build that kind of momentum, you start to do more ministry, visitors are starting to come, the same ministry approach that's going to bring new people has the ability to activate some of the people that haven't jumped back in yet. So I wouldn't obsess. I think it is right to kind of go through a period of grief, honestly, when relationships don't work out. But I think after that period of grief, move on, focus on what God has ahead of you. But the same approach that you use to activate new families will help activate people who have grown cold. I just wouldn't let it get too down, right? So you don't want to like ignore them, but you want to move forward with your new ministry plan. And I think you will find a way that excitement, that vision, that growth will activate those people as well. So that, Chris, any thoughts there as far as?
Yeah, no, I think, I think there's some practical things that you can do. Like a lot of times prayer ads will help, like just reconnect with people that haven't come back and that kind of stuff. I think one of the best things is just taking your entire like your roles and just call through your entire database, right? Like, even if it takes a month or two, right? Do 10 phone calls a day or something, right? You don't need to max yourself out, but just call people, connect with them, ask them how they're doing, and ask how you can pray for them. That's one of the best ways. Like if you just call through every single person in your database, right, and just talk to, hey, I just want to call and see how you're doing, right? Like, man, how can I pray for you? I'm telling you, you don't have to invite people back. Just ask how you can pray for them and connect with them and kind of hear what they're going through, and you'll be shocked how many people flood back into your services.
Yep. One last thing I'd say to Pam, and then I see your other part too, Pam, of this, is those same bridge events, again, that are low barrier of entries to bring back or to bring new families will also help you bring back old families, because sometimes it's awkward that they've been gone and now like I want to go back, but I feel like, man, can I go back? Can I go back, or are they going to take me back? So even having a bridge event where you call those people, hey, we'd love to have you back. It's an easier, hey, I can come back through the doors and I know people are going to be there welcoming me. It's like the prodigal son, like, hey, we're looking for you. We want you. So I love that. Call them, offer to pray for them, and then invite them. Hey, we're having a tailgate weekend coming up. You guys want to come back to that? Like just them knowing that you're not mad at them, you don't hate them, you want them, and they're invited back is a big one. So, so Pam was also asking about, hey, for the really small church, do you have some free resources that could help us small? Absolutely. That's why our team worked really, really hard on the guide that is available for download. So if you download that guide, there's sections for every month that say free resources. And so if you need help on the free level and you're like, hey, we're just getting started, we ain't got any budget, we don't got any people, like we need some free materials, download the guide. Every step along the way in your calendar are some resources that are there as our gift back to you, back to the kingdom, to help serve your church. Our prayer and our hope is let's get you going, let's get you building momentum, and let's get you in to grow in 2024 or 2025 or 2026. So just make that commitment to us. Hey, if you find the resources helpful, man, like pray and seriously consider jumping in to grow maybe a couple years from now, because those materials you'll find are very high quality and they don't build themselves and they're not cheap. So what's really, really cool for those who are jump in and partner with us at the Grow, some of that investment is actually helping the kingdom in churches like what Pam's at, serving those churches really well, doing what we can. Now we have to have resources coming in to be able to have an amazing team, to be able to build amazing resources. So it takes investment, but Pam, we are happy to help, and hopefully those materials help you do that. So what other questions do we have? So I got Pam's question there. So Jason said the site doesn't like my computer or Visa. How do I lock in a spot? So Jason, anybody that's having an issue enrolling, and especially if you want to lock in a spot, if you would please just put that in the chat and just say, hey, it's 1:08 Central Time, or it's 7:05, like whatever, when you're watching this, put that in the chat, and just so we have a timestamp of it. And then we will have our customer success team work with you to get you over the finish line. We are having a lot of people jump in, so we might have overwhelmed the system. So sometimes, Jason, just give it a little bit. Don't get frustrated. We'll get you in. We see your comment, so it's not like, oh no, Jason blocked you out, so therefore, hey, we'll get you in and we'll get you all the bonuses that we talked about. So just don't stress out about it there. So another comment: I don't have the authority to sign up without approval and wait for a refund. Okay, will this be offered again? We don't have sign up today. So we are asking that churches get that approval between now and the welcome party. So I'm very sensitive to this situation. I think a lot of churches, right, you can jump in and you can get your refund, and then everybody's happy if you don't get approval. But for this situation, if you want to get a spot but you need pre-approval to move forward, we would ask that you do that between now and the welcome party next Thursday. So for those situations, we want to give you a week. So if you're able to do that in the next week, that would be great. Therefore, we can get everybody at the welcome party and jump in. If for some reason you're like, man, a week is tight, if we could meet in the middle where you could get a week to get the approval to spend the money, and that team would know I still have 30 days to get the refund, I think that's a good meeting in the middle, if that's making sense. It's like, hey, give me a week to get pre-approval, and then if they need another 30 days, obviously you will have the next 30 days from that welcome party to get the money back if they come back and say, hey, yeah, we thoroughly thought this through, prayed this through, this is not a good fit. So that's, I think, a fair meet in the middle there. You've got a week to at least get pre-approval, jump in, get to the welcome party, and then your team has 30 days to make the final decision. So does that seem fair?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay. So any other questions? So it does seem like there is a problem with the site. So Brian, we apologize. I think we've crashed some aspect of our website. So hang in there. So we'll be fine. Caleb's saying it's fine. So hang in there. If you had a problem with the site, just make a note of that in the chat log. Hey, I tried to enroll. I'm not quite sure if it went through. Here's the time. If you want to, we have your email from registering. So so just make a note of that. Our customer success team, give us about 48 hours, because it sounded like we may have caused an issue, but we'll get through it, and we'll buy our success team lots of coffee, and Sherry, we love you, Sherry, Casey, Eva, team.
You love me too, right?
So yes, of course we do.
Kind of. Did you break the internet?
So George is asking the question: was it hard to obtain the Google Ad Grant? No, and our team, George, will walk with you through that process. We'll start that, at the welcome party. It shouldn't take longer than a couple weeks to get that up and going. And then there's a plethora of questions. Princess Bride. See what I did there? There's a plethora of questions that may arise. Just know this. That's the benefit of working with the CMU team. Our team is incredible, and I'm speaking about our team, not me in this case. They're amazing humans. They're super smart. They know all sorts of stuff like this. So there could be any number of things, or like, hey, what about my denomination's 501c3 umbrella, or this and that, or do I need to go get hey, the good news is, no matter the question, we will help you take your next step and move towards your solution. So I would say most of the churches we work with are able to take one of our pathways and obtain the Google grant pretty quickly. And some there's a small percentage we need to put you through a very specific track. But just know this: we've got your back, and the welcome party is your next step to know. For some churches, maybe in a very special circumstance, we will be able to work with you at the welcome party and say, hey, for all those who you need to, questions about your 501c3, that way. If you're a church plant, that way. If you're umbrella, that way. So we've got you covered. So Allison's asking, this was great, but I can't do it now. Will you do this workshop and offer it again? So Allison, our plan, our big picture plan is to do this in January. This is our favorite time to do this because we have the whole year to make the most of churches jumping in and doing this plan. Our plan is to do something similar again in August. Again, we can't promise that, but that is just kind of our plan. Now, part of my caution, though, is, and Allison, don't take this personally. This isn't about you. This is just in what I do observe sometimes in churches is we have a propensity sometimes in a certain style of church to keep kicking the can down the road. And if we're not careful, we kick it so far down the road that we're just on a phase of kind of death cycle of our organization that it gets harder and harder. So I like to use the analogy of Netflix and Blockbuster. When Blockbuster saw Netflix, they had an opportunity to adjust, and every moment they waited, the gulf just got bigger. It wasn't like, oh, I'll make this decision down the road. And again, Allison, I'm not talking about you personally. I'm using this as an example. But if you just keep kicking the can, the gulf to reaching in your people in your community isn't getting easier. The gulf is only getting bigger. So I understand there's certain churches like, hey, and I know there's some churches you will jump into this program 2 years from now. We can't wait to go on this journey with you, but don't let an excuse keep you from making a decision that you know you need to make now. Okay, because there are some churches that you will delay this decision. Sometimes it won't be. Maybe the solution isn't grow, but you do need to make some changes now because August is too late for you. And I say this with love. If you're in that situation, don't be like, oh, we will do this in August. Okay. You need to make a decision now that you probably should have made 5 years ago. Okay. So again, Allison, thank you for being the person that throw that out there. Yes, our plan and hope is to do this again in August. But we also know there are some people, and you feel like, man, God has been leading me to do something different, whether it's this or maybe something else. Please be obedient. Don't kick the can down the road because that delayed obedience is going to have some consequences. Again, not trying to make that self-serving for us. Whatever God's asked you to do it. And if you're like, man, I don't know how, let's talk to the team and we'll do whatever we can to help you to do that as well. So, Chris, I think we have an update from Sherry and the team. What do we need to do here?
Yeah, so we're trying to get to all the questions here, but we just want to make sure. And I know for those of you guys who need to talk to someone, we're going to open up a chance to kind of jump onto that. But I know some people are asking, is there a money back guarantee with the annual plan? Yes, there is. Somebody had asked, like, hey, if I use my personal credit card to sign up and the church doesn't do it, can I get refunded? Yes, right? Like annual plan, monthly plan, personal credit card, church credit, whatever it is, right? Like if your church says no, we'll just give you your money back. We will absolutely refund you. Absolutely, no matter what it is. I know we had some other specific questions on there, I think.
I don't know if we want to take Stephen's question here. So there's a 101 consultation call we get. Yes, for those who enrolled during the live workshop. Are you saying that all others are fee when we need to talk to a specialist? So good question. So the 101 coaching call is really like you have a special thing that you want to get help with from somebody on the CMU team. Good examples of that would be, we are launching a new campus. We're launching a new ministry. We really want to make the most of this Easter or this Christmas, or so I want a coaching call on, man, our plan to visit is stuck. We need to do better there. Our prayer ads, man, can I get just one person to sit with me and really talk me through this prayer ads, right? So the coaching call is more designed towards, I want to make the most of an opportunity. And now sure would be a good time to talk with Chris Abbott or Caleb or Nathan or Sherry, Molly, any number of people, right? So that's the bonus of the coaching call. Think of it as like a forward looking. Now, you have amazing support in CMU for the program that we're running, right? So we can't jump on every time you're like, man, I want to talk to somebody about this. I want to talk, like we would never get the system done if we're talking. So the coaching call is like forward looking, a one-time thing as your first year in Grow. Now, in the system itself, you're going to get amazing support. So you have that panic button where it's like, is my Google ads up and going? Like it's been, 3 months, where are we at? You can hit the panic button to get help. We also have the coaching calls. We have the boot camps, right? So there's plenty of time to hang out. If you talk to anybody in the CMU family, you will know, man, those guys are always doing boot camps. Chris and I don't go hide anywhere. We are live like this, I feel like half of the year, right? So we are on boot camps. We are on coaching calls. We are on support. The team is amazing. So it's not like you have to pay for support after that. You have program support, but the coaching call is, man, I want to talk to somebody about this initiative we're doing. So Stephen, hopefully that's making sense in the delineation. The ongoing support is, I need to talk to somebody to see if the system is working. I'm panicking, or, hey, I want to request custom ads on our Vacation Bible School. That's the type of support, but we can't just offer unlimited. Chris, I want to pick your brain about Facebook ads. Chris, I want to pick your brain about, like, quit picking Chris's brain. It's been picked a lot. So, yeah. So Stephen, I'm having fun with that. So, Jesse, yes, on the personal credit card, the team was saying, yeah, we can. If you jump in the personal credit card, we can get that switched over, refunded. However, we need to do that if you want to lock in a spot, whether we would need to refund one and charge the church one later, or the church going to write you a check, or they say no, and so we need to make that right. That's part of that 30-day money back guarantee. So, thank you so much, Chris, for the kind words. Great information. Chris says, love your hearts for kingdom growth. Man, that was a big prayer point for us, that just pastors on this would feel. We wanted to lead as much as we can with help, value first, but we also love the Grow program and have dedicated so much of our hearts and minds to building that. So hopefully it was a good balance between serving, but also giving churches that would be a good fit for this and benefit for it the opportunity to hear about the program there. So that's awesome. Thank you, Pam, for the kind words. Pam, man, I'm believing that we get to go on this journey for 2024. But also, Pam, know this, like, those in Grow, like, there's a special uniqueness to that family. But beyond that, there's a broader group of people that we're going on this journey with you. Again, we'll do webinars and workshops. We've got the Ultimate Easter Kit. So Chris's YouTube channel. We got articles that the content Mary, Julianne, Kaya, the team are writing. And so this isn't hey, if you're not jumping into this, hey, see you later. This is we want to help in any way we can. So Pam, we are on this journey with you as well, at just a different level of commitment that we can make. But hopefully you are able to jump in 2024. Having done this, we launched Church Marketing University in man, I should know this. I think it was May of 2016. When did you launch CGA?
August of 2018.
August of 2018, May of 2016. So we've been doing this for a long time. So what's cool is to see, the Pams I remember from 2016 that are now, some of them, like Sherry is our customer success leader, right? So it's pretty crazy, the journey that God takes us on. So you just never know. So hopefully it's been a major blessing there. So
Ryan, do we want to, for those people, like I know, like I'm getting some text from Sherry, like Darren wanted to ask, like, for those people that have specific questions about their church, do we want to release some people to go over to the Zoom call to ask one-on-one, and then we'll stay here and do Q&A?
Let's do this. So some of the CMU success team, if we could divide and conquer, if you would be able to jump over into Zoom. So this might be a good opportunity too. So if you were in maybe one of those credit card situations of like, did it go through? Did it not go through? Maybe you're in a unique 501c3 situation that you really want to, hey, if I had 90 seconds, I could just ask this. And I don't have to wait to the welcome party and be disappointed. If you have some technical issues, it sounds like some of our team is getting the coffee hot and ready over in the Zoom room. So if you go to churchmarketinguniversity.com/talk, I think we're going to try to divide out into breakout rooms. CMU team, if I don't know if Caleb or Nathan can jump over there just to give us the thumbs up that it's actually. I don't want to send people if it's not working and frustrating them. So. Yeah. So Peter was asking, hey, I want to enroll, but want to be sure that the church can qualify for out. So Peter, maybe jump over to Zoom. Are we good?
Nathan, are we good?
Oh,
he's going in there now.
Okay. So Nathan's going to go check it out now. So Zoom room is open. And Sherry, can Zoom people find us? I just want to make sure that people are showing up, this is connection. We've never done this before. This is a new idea. So Peter, this might be a good one to jump over. We can get churches in under an umbrella 501c3 if you're connected to an organization where you have an official letter. We do have a 501c3 launch track if a church is interested in getting their 501c3 through our legal team. They are showing up. You guys, way to go. Okay. So this is working. And there are some churches that are not interested. I know this sounds crazy. They aren't worried about the automatic invite system right now. They just want all the bonuses. They just want the prayer ads, the visitor growth engine. They want to go on the journey with us. So if there are some churches that will jump in even without the automatic invite system, don't recommend that. But hey, some of you guys, you're crazy and you want to go on this journey with us, and that can be workable as well. So Peter, jump over to churchmarketinguniversity.com/talk, and we'll get you connected with somebody. What if a church is opposed to become? So Emily, similar situation. So if you don't want to become a 501c3, I think your chances would be: are you connected with an umbrella organization that is a 501c3, or do you want to jump in and just say, hey, we know we're not going to worry about the Google grant or the automatic invite system. We're going to go all in on the visitor growth engine and the prayer ads and the kind of the church growth plan, and working with you guys. That's doable. You're kind of making the journey without one of the twin turbo engines, so it's not recommended, but it is doable if that's your situation. And Chris, Caleb, and I, Nathan, we're talking about this. Like, there's some churches that the best thing that you could do is jump in and go all in on the prayer ads, right? And just do that. Just focus on that. And like Chris was saying, that used to be a $7,500 investment. So if you want to go all in on that, that would be the route to do it. So I certainly understand that there's certain organizations that don't want to go that route.
Ryan, let me answer this one real quick. Just Sherry's texted me some stuff too. There's somebody that was asking about, or I guess some people ask about, will this help with a small church, world church, like a new church plant? I had a friend of mine who pastored a church of 20 people, right? And just using the prayer ads, like he was able to get 1,892 prayer requests. So he prayed for almost 1,900 people, and his church of 20 ended up having 209 plan your visits over like a 5 or 6 month period, right? Like just by going on that ministry side of things, right? So like, we've seen, I know there was a world church we worked with in the Midwest that went from 60 to 110 just from, going all in on some of the principles that are inside of Grow. We've done, and then there was a church plant that we worked with that had about 130 people, right? So they're only about 10 months old. They're just kind of stuck at 130, and they actually went from 130 to 200 over the summer, just again simply by kind of going all in on that ministry, not marketing side of things and everything. So I think this can definitely help you. It's just we want to be able to come in, create that automatic invite system that's constantly inviting people, right? It doesn't matter if you're in a big city or a suburb or a small town or where you're at, right? It's constantly working behind the scenes, inviting people to church. And then we want to help you with that visitor growth engine that's going to keep bringing people in, right? And so it's all humans, right? And we're dealing with people here, and we're leading with ministry. And so I think that can help you if you guys want that help.
Yeah, and just to shoot straight with you, if you are in the middle of absolutely nowhere, we might need to talk and just figure out what part of this we're talking about would be a best fit for you. We'll say, like, the more people that you have within driving distance of your church, the more Google searches are happening within driving distance of your church. The more that you might see from the automatic invite system. However, if you are in a smaller church situation, I've got a good friend that pastors a church out in the middle of Kansas, and really he kind of views, I want to pastor the county. That I would go all in. I mean, I would have the automatic invite system happening. Those people are still searching on Google. They still love to do things. They're still humans. I would have the automatic invite system going, but I would go all in on the prayer ads and really just commit to praying for your county. You know, like, how awesome would it be if you're like, man, for the next 5 years, I would like to invite and pray for everybody in my county. So some of the coolest stories that we hear are from pastors that get known as, oh, you're the pastor who prays, which is kind of sad, but you guys get the point, right? They offer to pray so much that around town, they get known as the pastor who prays. So tell the ICU story, because this is one of my favorite ones.
So one of Pastor Pat Bruce, one of our Grow churches. So the cool thing is, and his church, he joined Grow. He had 25 people in the church. His church is quadrupled. They're now running over 100. And he was able to quit his second job and go full time at the church, right? Because of everything that happened from the growth from the growth from Grow. But he was recently, like the prayer ads and everything, he was recently in the ICU visiting someone in his congregation, and the ICU nurse recognized him from Facebook and from the prayer ads and just said, oh my gosh, hey, you're the pastor that prays for people. I have some patients who really, really need prayer. Would you be willing to pray for them? Right? How many of you guys like that'd be awesome if that happened in the ICU, right? And so he said 3 hours later, I'm exhausted, but she walked him around and literally took him into each room, and he personally prayed for every single person in the ICU that day, right? So 3 hours of personally praying for every single person in the ICU, and right, and had the nurse personally walking him around asking him to pray for people. So that's just kind of the power of going all in on that, kind of ministry first aspect, the ministry based, and the prayer ads. And people are going to come up to you in Starbucks and the grocery store asking you to pray for them. So
I love it. That's one of the coolest things. So Whitney was asking, can you give some tips on how to bring traffic to Facebook on live feed that will turn into in-person attendance? So Whitney, that could be a great workshop, like in its own self. I think the best resource I could give you now, even though it's a little dated, at the time, the principles will still apply. If you go to the Church Marketing University podcast, there is 4 episodes on there that will basically walk you through our philosophy on this. One is the 500 comment challenge, and then one is it's the game changers. It's the digital live streaming game changers. If you listen to those, I think there's 4 episodes total. There's not a ton of episodes, so it won't be hard to find them. But it'll give you our philosophy of how to use a live stream as a relationship tool, not just a broadcast tool. And remember, ministry flows out of relationships. Relationships take time. So your live streaming needs to be a relationship tool, not a broadcast tool. So in those podcast episodes, we'll walk you through how to make the mental shift from, oh, we're broadcasting live, to we are a live experience building relationships on here. When you build relationships with people live streaming, they will turn into in-person visitors because you have a relationship with them. It's nearly impossible to get somebody to take their next step to a live experience without relationship. So that's the big game changer. It's not easy, but it's definitely worth devoting your time to. I'll also note on this, the prayer campaigns have a great way of microwaving that relationship. So if you can pray for somebody, your ability then they trust you, they know how much you care. Their ability to say, yeah, I'd come meet you in person is microwave. That's a really amazing part of the prayer ads, is it microwaves the relationship to the point where they would be willing to come out and trust you with an in-person visit because you've taken the time to do ministry first and pray for them. So before this thing ends, we need to flip something. So, hey, Michael.
Flip the order page.
We have, okay.
Broke that.
Michael's asking, we have access to discounted CMU Pro scholarship. So if you're curious about this, we do have a scholarship program. Right now it's currently closed. So we have free, pro, and grow. We do have a scholarship program in the pro, which is really next level resources that are currently closed at the moment. So if you're like, what is that? That's what he's talking about. But they are a dying 30-person church with a part-time pastor that has other ministry obligations. Where should we start if we should just give up, if we should pay for pro? So Michael, don't give up. More specifically, you're welcome to give up on, paying us anything. Just don't give up on ministry, I think is what I'm trying to say. Specifically for your scholarship program, the big thing is you need to, I know it's hard because your circumstance is dire, but your God is big. So dream big. you need to pray bigger, but you need to start small. So commit to this. What you need to do is go into your CMU dashboard. Ideally, if you can do this with 1 or 2 people on the small team, and just start where it says there's a big thing that says start here for our scholarship deal. Start there and commit to doing the first 8 steps. Okay. So that's where I would recommend, Michael, don't give up. I also would say, now, again, this is not a word from the Lord. This is not a Bible-based strategy, but in your circumstance, we see a lot of churches right now considering a merger or a partnership with another church in town where together there can be some more strength. If you are in a situation where you're just in what we might look at as a kind of, man, we feel like we're just in a death spiral. We have so much momentum moving in the wrong direction that we just can't turn it around. That's just something, again, I never really want to throw, this is a word from the Lord. You might just start praying about this. God, we want to start small, still dream big, pray bigger, but you might in the prayer time say, God, we're going to do what we know how to do. We're going to take action. So we're just not going to sit here and just, man, and I hope something changes. No, we're going to take action. We're going to go through the 8 steps in your CMU dashboard and then start to pray, God, what would you have us to do so that we could turn this thing around? Because I know this, God cares about your community more than anybody does, more than you do. And he has a plan for you, but it will be in the context of you actually taking steps forward and praying about it. And then just let's see what God does. That would just be my thought on that. So Chris, any thoughts for Michael there?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, Michael. One of the things that I've noticed is just, man, the more ministry you can do out in the community, the more you connect with people, right? And the more that's going to carry over into people coming into your services. So if the congregation is dying, I would just go all in on ministry, right? Like, and if that's, whatever that looks like, but figuring out how to do, for me, I would do prayer at scale. Like if I could only do anything, like I'd probably go out and just print up cards that says, how can I pray for you? Right. And I'd maybe have like a website on the back, whatever. Or if you don't have a website, put your phone number on the back and say, hey, text me, like, man, but my name is Pastor Chris. I want to pray for you. Right. Man, text me your prayers. Right. But, and I would just hand them out all over the community. Cause you can probably get like 5,000 business cards for like $50 and just hand them out all over and just go all in on prayer and ministry. And you're going to build those relationships. Right. And it's going to take some time, but you're going to start to see some growth. But it's, ministry flows out of relationship takes time. So.
Love it. And speaking of texting, we hesitate to throw this out there, but we are having a big announcement at the welcome party related to our friends over at Texan Church. So you will definitely, for those who are jumping into Grow, you'll want to be at the welcome party because we have some really cool news that's one little piece that's going to blow your mind. So, and I just want to reiterate this in case, I don't know if you had any questions on this, but because I know we still got 700 people on here and a bunch of people are over there with Sherry and the team on Zoom. If you guys, I know we sold out of our 100 spots, but if you guys still want in, just go ahead and sign up and we'll figure it out. Like we'll get with you. We'll still get you that bonus. You can go to churchmarketinguniversity.com/order. And then we'll figure it out. At least for the rest of the time that we're on this webinar, we'll figure it out if you sign up before the end of the workshop. Larry's asking, for smaller churches that have a very tight budget, do you offer one-off consults for a specific growth issue? Larry, we don't. There's some great people out there that do this, that have a ministry in this that we probably would more recommend in this case. It is a little bit tricky because, as you know this, pastors know this, everybody has a heart for the kingdom, but everybody kind of has a specific calling that you just got to focus in on and what God's uniquely called you to do. I know pastors face this all the time. And like, there's so much ministry need. How do I focus? And it doesn't feel great to say no in some circumstances. And so for us, we are laser focused on a couple things that we feel like we do really well. And so for smaller churches, our kingdom investment will come into things like the Ultimate Easter Kit, workshops like this, YouTube channel, podcasts, articles. And so we want to be generous with anything that we can do to help. But we also know this is like, we want to be all in and committed to the churches that are jumping into the Grow program. And sometimes that feels like, oh man, but because you want to say, hey, I want to help everybody. But in that, if you make that commitment, you end up helping nobody. And so for us, our commitment has come down to, for churches that say, hey, we want to go all in, let's partner together in the next decade. our team's commitment is, man, if you're all in, we're all in. And we're going to be more obsessed about visitors to your church than you are. And so you can only have that level of obsession with at a certain scale. And so for us, that's kind of what we've committed to do. And so we don't offer like one-off consultations in that context. But we do want to be generous with our resources and time and energy in this type of context. We've done things like the church marketing conference that tries to help in any way we can. So we want to have a flourishing resource and community that is kingdom-minded. But hopefully that makes sense and that's understandable there. Molly's asking, so Chris, on this one, Leonard was asking, how well does this program work for a church that just got started?
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned some case studies earlier. I mean, we had a church plant of 15 that grew to 50. We had a church of 60 that grew to 110. We had a church of 130 that went to 200. Right, and these were all church plants. I know I worked with a church plant a while ago that went from 100 to 175 in about 6 months. Right, so it's just gone out there and really just kind of trusting the process. So. Yeah, I mean, if you want our help, I think we can help you.
Yeah, I mean, if I was starting a church, lead pastor, this would be my first marketing budget. I would be like from the very beginning, and like Chris and I talked about earlier, I would go all in on with casting the vision of let's pray for our community. I would say, depending on how large your community was, I'd kind of scope it, and I'd say, man, what if in the first year we could pray for 20% of our community, and that would be, and because, man, it's just our culture is on one hand so close to a lot of things that have to do with God, on the other hand so open to the idea and concept of prayer. So it's just kind of a unique window how that works. Is like, man, you could get the person who's really adamant and against things of God, but they would still, when they're up against it, man, they'll take prayer. So that would be my plan in a lot of respects. We created Church Marketing University in the journey of moving up here. When I was a part of Summit Park Church, was on the lead team there planning a church. So a lot of the ideas came out of a church plant environment. Chris was a part of setting up this system at Guts Church, not necessarily in the church plant context, but both of us at Hawaiian Bros yesterday, it's our little restaurant here in Kansas City. We were talking about, man, church plants. There's two types of churches that we have like a huge passion for. Church plants is one of them, and churches with thriving kids ministries is another one. That those uniquely, like, man, if we could help them, you can change a lot of the world and a lot of communities with those two groups of people. So just being fully transparent there, since you're kind of here late, that's kind of our heart, just to pull back the curtain there.
I would say, Darren, I see your question about, hey, can we have a one-on-one call to ask some specific questions about our church? Yes. So you might have already jumped over there, but if you want to ask some questions specifically on a one-on-one, that's what we set up that Zoom call for right now. So it's going on right now. Just go to churchmarketinguniversity.com/talk, and you can jump into that Zoom call. We've got a bunch of our team over there, so you can have a one-on-one and ask any questions pertaining to your church and how that would work.
So next question, Stefan was asking, does it work for churches outside of USA? Yes. So this would be the prerequisites that we have. So the Google grant has a lot of countries that they approve it for. So, and they have a whole list on their website where you could just Google what countries are available for the Google grant for nonprofits, and you'll see that pretty quickly. So yes, for us specifically, our money is on the line, so we want it to work, and we want to invest in churches that we know, man, there's a high likelihood that we can get them visitors. So for us, the best fits are countries where Google will approve Google Ad Grant. I think the major ones are all going to be on that list, right? So the UK, Canada, Australia. So you get the idea. The other kind of things that they keep in mind is your services for our team to really feel good about it need to be English speaking services. That doesn't mean you can't have other services that are in Spanish or Mandarin or whatever. It just means that you have a service that is an English speaking service, because that is our primary language on the team. Understanding and really serving churches well, writing the ads in custom ads in English, and that the culture around your church would be similar to that of here in the United States. So those are the kind of the filter that we look. If those are check boxes, then yes. I know we have some churches in the UK. We had one, maybe a couple in South Africa. Just to be fully honest, we had one. I don't think it was a great fit, and we've learned some of those prerequisites of, services need to be in English, and they need to have a culture similar to that of the U.S. So hopefully that makes sense there for you. But so the answer is yes. Does being a Grow church include rest of? So Carmen's asking if you're a current Grow church, does it include the CMU tools? So Carmen, yes. We have some big announcements that we are making, and we're going to be talking about. There are some situations for churches that jumped in 2022 that you're already either getting or going to get these tools with the plan that you're on. So you can rest easy about that. We'll be explaining more about that. There are some nuances to that we need to explain. All of that is going to be great news from you. So every time that you hear some of the stuff that we're releasing, our heart is going to be the people that have been with us the longest are cheering the loudest. So the answer is always from a philosophical standpoint, yes. However, there are some nuances that get into the plan and the details and the weeds that just like if you're on a very specific plan that was for a specific time, you will have the tools, but it will look different. So you get all the things in the plan that you've locked in, but it just looks different for you, and we'll explain why. And when you hear it, you'll be like, okay, that makes a ton of sense. And maybe another way to say it is any Grow church is welcome to jump into the current offer, but you will be happy with just the offer that you have, and we can explain more about that. So it's not like a cell phone company that, hey, we give the new people the best deal. So they get a great deal, but the people that have been with us the longest, that took a leap of faith on us earlier, you will always get our biggest part of like commitment to you is you always love the new updates we roll out. Carmen asks, we are already a CMU church, wondering if we need to keep the subscription up or cancel it. So if you're already a CMU, so it could depend, Carmen, if you're a pro church or a current Grow church. So if you're a pro level church, normally you'll be, that's similar to saying you're on the scholarship program. If you want to jump into Grow, grab a spot in Grow, and then the customer success team will inactivate, just reach out to them, forward your receipt to success@churchmarketinguniversity.com. And we will inactivate your pro subscription, and you will be locked in at the Grow subscription. So you do not need to have two subscriptions for CMU. So you won't have one payment for pro and one payment for Grow. Grow includes pro. So if that makes sense, if that's the question that you're asking. But for us, when we talk about $397 for Grow, that's max out of pocket. So it's not like, oh, I pay $397 and then I also pay $97 for this other plan, or $97 for my CMU website and $397. It's all going to be bundled up under your Grow plan. Really, it's an all-inclusive plan. So hopefully that.
I like this one.
Okay, you take this one.
Yeah, well, so Blessing, do y'all have a system for following up with guests? Yes, we do. And so if you jump into Grow, Blessing, we have that in there, and you're going to get that for free. And that's some of the surprises that we have for everybody in Grow. So yes, it's a completely automated follow-up system, and you get that inside of Grow, and you can set it all up with one button. So it's pretty awesome.
And to let a little bit of the cat out of the bag, maybe just the cat's head out of the bag, is all the stuff that you will need to execute the plan that we just talked about is going to be included in Grow. That will be mind-blowing. And so what we don't want to do is have a church jump in and be like, oh, I see what you did. You got me into Grow, and then you tricked me because now you're going to sell me a $10,000 website. Or, oh, okay, you got me into Grow. You gave me a really good deal, but you're going to sell me a $100 follow-up system. It's not a bait and switch. It's actually the exact opposite. When you get into Grow, if we say you need this for a great follow-up system, it's going to be included. If we say you need this for a great website, it's going to be included. So the cool news at the welcome party, we're going to actually get into the weeds of that. But it's going to be hopefully mind-blowing of like, oh my gosh, that's included, that's included, that's included, that's included. So really, if you need something that we just to execute the plan that we just talked about, you will find that it's included in Grow. The one caveat to that would be if you want to do over and above like Facebook ad spends, that you would be paying your own Facebook ad costs. We would show you how to run the ads. We'll coach you through that through our boot camps. We'll provide the copy, but you would actually pay the ad spend. So we can't foot your ad spend bill. So we did. I think we did, Stefan, answer that question there. South Africa. Again, we could talk about that. We have another church that was looking at it in South Africa. We were talking about those questions. But if you feel like a confident fit, your service is in English, the area around your church would be similar culture to what problems and people would be Googling related to life issues, stuff that your church has to offer. The good news is if you feel good and our Google team feels good, we could do that at the /talk, or we could do that over at the welcome party. The good news is it's really risk-free to you, because if we try it and you do the work and go through the visitor growth engine and we get that set up and we run the automatic invite system and it doesn't work, you have that money back guarantee. So, but provided we want to make sure that those other prerequisites are met there. This is a good one. You want to answer Daniel's here? What sort of time commitment is the lead person looking at running Grow for their church?
Yeah. So, I mean, the great thing is, like, Daniel, like, once you get that Google grant, which again, we'll hold your hand through that whole process. And then once you have the Google grant, like, we're setting up and building all of that out for you. Right. So you don't have to touch the automatic invite system. Our team's going out and building those community ads and ministry ads and invite ads and all that. I mean, everything there, the entire automatic invite system, we're setting up for you. You don't have to do anything. And then really it's kind of go at your own pace on the visitor growth engine, because we're going to coach you through how to do that. Right. And so it's literally whatever you want to do. It's all, completely on demand. And we've got like the boot camps and that kind of stuff. Right. So you get to kind of choose your own adventure as far as that goes. Right. But the automatic invite system, we're going to take that off your plate completely, set all that up. And then everything else, you can just go whenever you have some time, you can jump in there and start kind of working on those things. So,
yeah. Yep, that's a great answer. I mean, any friend that I would have that's pastoring, I reached out to some this past week, and I was like, man, any lead pastor I'd recommend at least get the automatic invite system up and going. No matter what you're doing, if you want to, focus on what we talked about, bridge events or not, you're like, no, we kind of have our own plan. You're going to get that automatic invite system going, and then the rest is based on when you want to jump in. Now, you do have the opportunity to, if you're executing kind of your own plan, I would recommend reaching out to our team and requesting custom ads, and you'll have ability to tell what the thing is that you're running. Maybe you have some really unique events or ministries or things that you do. So it will take, 10 minutes to fill out a form to say, hey, we've got this event coming up in July. Could you please run ads to that event? Here's what it is. Here's the page on our website. So you're talking maybe 10 minutes a month to submit those type of requests. But that shouldn't be all that much. So Carmen, that is awesome. So yeah, if you are in Pro and you just signed up for Grow, you won't be paying twice. We will inactivate your Pro scholarship. I just to double check, the system should make it work, but if it doesn't, if you're nervous like me, where you always feel like the company's going to mess it up, just forward your Grow invoice to Sherry at churchmarketinguniversity.com, CHERI, or success at churchmarketinguniversity.com, either way, and just say, hey, we're signed up for Grow. Will you inactivate my Pro subscription? That way you're not paying $397 and $97 at the same time. And that's cool. So officially welcome to Grow, Carmen. That's awesome. Next one here. We are a starter church and very small, but I want to sign up and need the approval. Can I get back before the welcoming? Yes, absolutely. So Evangeline, I think what we kind of agreed on is we want everybody to make the final decision by next Thursday when we do the welcome party. If your finance committee is meeting, like let's say my finance committee meeting is like at the end of January, then what we would recommend that you do is say, hey, we would like to make this purchase. Can I get pre-approval just to make the purchase? And then we have 30 days to make the final decision. No pressure, no issues whatsoever. You'll be able to get a replay. You can take the finance committee through this experience here. And so there's no pressure whatsoever. You'll find that what we do, there's not a whole lot of arm twisting pressure. We are kingdom-minded people. We want churches to win. This isn't a bait and switch. We want to give enough flexibility. So we would say you have about a week to get pre-approval, grab a spot, then you have 30 days to get any sort of committee, finance team, a final approval. And if they end up saying, hey, we want to vote no on that, man, we totally understand that. Wasn't a good fit, wasn't a culture fit. Maybe they need a little bit more time to get to know Chris and his craziness. That's fine. It took me a while. So that's fine. And but that would kind of be what we would recommend. So hopefully that's making sense there. So and kind of we don't have a website, but a Facebook account. Is this a problem? No. So a couple things to consider. So no, I have good news and bad news and good news. So ideally, we will get you to a website. Little bit of a surprise.
That's why I'm laughing.
Yeah. Your website is actually going to be included in the Grow program. So the cost of having a website builder, your website, we've actually got one-click installs. We can build your website. We have a website boot camp. It's amazing, and that's going to be included. So you're not going to have to. It's not going to be, oh, I do $397. Now I got to pay another $5,000 for a website. It's actually going to be included in a Grow if you need it. So that's like, we want to basically be able to tell a pastor, oh, what I need that. Okay, yeah, it's included. Oh, I need that. Okay, yeah, it's included. So the tricky part is we aren't going to be able to run the automatic invite system until we get the website set up. So we do need to, that is just shoot straight with you. We do need to get that set up. We will help you get that set up. The other good news is if you have a Facebook account, you can start with the prayer ads. Again, we will take 90+% of people through to start with the automatic invite system. But in your case, since you have a Facebook account, we can get you started with the prayer ads and you can start doing ministry right away. So that's hopefully good news, but also the honest news that in order to reach as many people as possible in your community, you will want to have an effective website. So just to be honest, and an effective website, even though we've made it as easy as possible, will take time. So Antonio, see you guys, we were trying not to get into all of this, but you guys, it's like I'm letting the cat out of the bag, and then you guys keep wanting, oh, we want to see more of the cat. We want to see more of the cat. Okay. So Antonio's asking, what about social media content? So Antonio, I'm glad you asked. Chris is going to be mad because once we start talking about everything, people have more questions, but we have inside Grow what we call a daily social media guide. So every single day, you or somebody on your team or a volunteer can look at our guide and it will show you an example of what we recommend that you post on social, and it's built off of our ministry first mindset. So if you really want a social media plan, we have a daily plan for your social media content. Now, I know you didn't ask this, but just a little bit of hesitation. The plan is going to take work because ministry flows out of relationships. Relationships take time. If somebody's trying to sell you a ministry solution that doesn't take like your time on the relationship front, like, so for example, social media, it's not going to be an automatic post because you want to use social media to build relationships, not just broadcast. Okay. So the automatic invite system is awesome because people are searching. We're connecting the search to your website. The website builds the relationship equals the plan of visit. So your website is your chief visitor officer. That's why that's awesome. Social media can't be a broadcast tool, can't be announcements. It has to be a relationship tool. So we will show you, don't worry about it. We're having fun. We will show you what we recommend to post daily, but that's not going to automatically get the visitors. The daily post will be so you can build a relationship with people in your community and invite them in your next momentum season. Okay, so it's not like, oh, you guys take care of my social media. We show you the approach you need to have on social media so that social media becomes a ministry tool. Yeah. Does that make sense? But is that going to take time? Yes, because ministry flows out of relationships and relationships take time. We make the the part easy of like, well, what do I post if I want to build relationships? That's normally for the pastors that truly want to meet people and build relationships and disciple people. They just don't know how they do that. What do I even post to do that? We will include that inside of Grow. It's our daily social media guide. So we didn't even talk about this. So this is a good evangelism. I can't believe we didn't even talk about this. Can I pay for the first month until I get approval and then pay for the remainder of annual? Yes. And we didn't even say and this is good and bad news. It's probably good that we didn't say it, but you can cancel at any time. So this is, again, not like we got you cell phone. This is a 3-year contract. Get a new iPhone, but you're going to be paying us for 3 years. So we hope and pray that people entering in the program enter in with the mindset, man, I'm going to partner with these crazy guys for the next 10 years. That's really the people that are going to get the most out of it. However, if there's no long-term contracts, you can cancel at any time. And yes, Evangeline, you can roll over a monthly into an annual. So yeah, you can pay for the first month and then have the church sign up for the annual and either get a credit or get a credit back to your card. So absolutely. So again, hopefully that you find out none of this is like, there's no trick in this. It's for those people that resonate and want to do it. The answer is going to be yes. And we're going to try our best to make it happen. So the answer is yes. And you can cancel at any time. So maybe you are a church that like, man, Brian, I want to jump in. I hear what you're saying about having the finances and having some strength financially, but we are right on the edge. Can we jump in, give it our best shot for 6 months? And man, if worst case scenario, it just doesn't work. In some situations, we have like they end up merging with another church and like, hey, we're going to merge over under their Grow account. So there's no like, man, if we gave it our best shot 6 months in, are you guys going to be knocking at my door if I cancel? No. So there's no gotcha. There's no long-term contracts. For a lot of churches that know that, hey, man, if CMU's doing it, we're all in. We love you guys. You guys have an amazing team. It's penny on the dollar compared to hiring a staff member. You guys do high quality work and you help us all year round. And man, when we want to jump in, we can jump into anything, or you guys just run it for us. Those churches love the annual plan because it saves them a little bit more when they pay annually. So yeah, absolutely. Shauna, I'm seeing here, if you signed up but didn't get a receipt, more than likely, so there's two scenarios. The first scenario is the receipt went into a junk, promotion, social, or spam folder. So, or it happened when our website crashed. So let me real quick, and I shouldn't do this, but let me look. Oh, okay. So it looks like you might have signed up. You forgot maybe the M on gmail.com. So I think that might be the issue, or maybe I'm not blaming it on you, maybe the system. So what happened is it tried to send the receipt to your email at gmail.co. So I'm going to set Chris up with the next question. Talking about, well, Chris, I'll do this. I'll queue you up on the next question.
Got it.
What is the website to sign up is that one.
Yep. churchmarketinguniversity.com/order. That will take you there. Tony had a question here.
So you get that one while I fix Shauna's.
So Tony, our ministry just planned the calendar for 2023. We'll be able to adjust to momentum ministry. Yeah, absolutely, Tony. And the great thing is like it's on the ministry seasons and momentum seasons, right? Like all of it is just, man, work within the DNA of your church and with what works, right? So we just kind of wanted to present that idea, right? This framework of momentum and ministry seasons, and then give you guys like some ideas of stuff that you can do during those. But I mean, the bottom line is if you decide to jump into Grow, you're going to have the automatic invite system that's running the entire year through momentum and ministry seasons, right? You're gonna have that visitor growth engine in the background, like just like my church, right, where it's just growing and it's just going forever, right, through all of those seasons. And then just some of those different things that you want to capitalize, you can kind of take a look at that or talk to our team, right, and find out like, hey, what do we want to do to maybe we decide, what we really want to do is we want to use the prayer ads, and just all summer long we really want to utilize the prayer ads and kind of go hard in the paint on just praying for as many people as possible over that summer. over those summer months, right? So we can connect with people and then really reap a harvest at back to school in that momentum system. Or that momentum season, excuse me. So, no problem. That part, it's all super flexible. Big thing is we're going to get those twin turbos up and running as quickly as possible. So, yep, no problem. Let's see. Evangeline wanted to know the website to sign up. Yep, churchmarketinguniversity.com/order. That's where you can sign up. So, Shayna said thanks for helping me. So, yep, Shayna, Ryan's got you. Let's see. Becky is saying that trying to sign up for Grow, but the site is not working. So I would say this, Becky, try opening that site, churchmarketinguniversity.com/order. Try opening it in a different browser if you can, or maybe like on your phone instead of your computer. See if that works. If that doesn't work, just email success@churchmarketinguniversity.com and just let them know, hey, I tried to sign up on the workshop and I couldn't. And they can reach out to you. And even if we just have to sign you up manually, we can take care of you. You'll still get the bonus for signing up live. But just email the success@churchmarketinguniversity.com if it doesn't work in another browser, and we will get you hooked up.
So I think I've got the invoice sent over to you. I need to make sure that I didn't break your account, your login. But let me know in the Q&A feature. Is it Shayna?
I think Shayna.
I'm so sorry.
If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize. But I dated a Shayna a long time ago, and that's how she spelled her name.
You've dated too many people.
Bro, it was...
So we should have had the picture of you in the 8th grade dating somebody. Let me know if that invoice just came through. But I think I got it sent back over to your Gmail this time. And that's all it was. Is it just it had an error. I think it should work. I just want to make sure that your login works. Shauna,
I messed it up. Dang it. Okay. Well, Shauna, I apologize. I dated a Shayna, and that's how she spelled her name. But Shauna, we will not mess it up again. So, okay. And Shauna said that she did get the invoice.
Okay.
So good to go. Tony wanted to know about momentum and ministry seasons and sermon series. Should that be adjusted too? I love talking about this stuff. I love sticky sermon series. So I was I mentioned this earlier. I was in youth ministry for 15 years. One of the things that I used to love doing is there are certain times of the year that I found that certain types of sermon series worked really, really well. The same thing works in churches. So I've helped a bunch of my friends who are pastors, pastoring church plants. I had a buddy of mine. This is one of the funnest things I used to do. We do this every year. Is at the beginning of the year, we would sit down. Excuse me. At the end of every year, around like November, we would sit down and we would plan out all of the sermon series for the following year. Bringing a bunch of food and had a couple of people from the church, and it was a lot of fun. And so there was just some different. After doing that several years and working with a lot of churches over the past 8 or 9 years, you just kind of see some of those sermon series that work really, really well at certain times. So you absolutely can. Again, it's up to you. You want to see what's going to work for the DNA of your church, right? But a lot of times, like in January, like people are looking to be better. So something along the lines of like clean slate, or even like a back to the basics, where you're talking about
a new beginning,
right?
Run to win,
bro. And we've got kits that literally walk you through all of that stuff inside of Grow.
There's
Grow. So many things in there. Like honestly, on purpose, right? And I were talking about this last night in his living room as we're getting all the slide deck and everything ready. We left a lot of things out that you're actually going to get in Grow. Right. Just because like there's so many things that if we listed everything, it would sound crazy. And what we do is we'd end up getting way more questions about every single thing than we would actually causing clarity. So at the welcome party, you'll see we'll list all the things that you get. But there are some really, really dope things that we're super proud of, super excited about in there, like all the kits and stuff. That new beginning kit's perfect. You can literally just run that play, use whatever works for you. But those kits, just to give you an idea, legit. Like the Easter kit that's coming up that we'll be releasing in February, I think. The Easter kit costs us like around $12,000 because like to make, right? Because we go out and we pay professional graphic designers, we pay professional video editors, right? And all these like incredible creatives to build all of this stuff for you, and then we just give it away for free, right? So there's tons of kits and stuff like that inside of Grow, which you'll find out. But as far as sermon series, like there's cool stuff. I love it. I'll just give me 30 seconds to give you mine. So I there's some sticky sermon series that I love. For example, if I were pastoring a church right now one of the things I would do is I would take advantage of those momentum seasons, and I would launch really sticky sermon series afterwards, right? So if like February is coming up, I would do something on relationships, but I'm just going to tell you right now, if you include the word sex in the title of your sermon series, you're going to get a bunch of dudes who wouldn't normally come to church. They will be waking up Sunday morning, getting the kids ready, throwing a Pop-Tart in their mouth, right? Like warming up the car. Hey, babe, right here, got your cup of coffee. Everybody in the car, we're getting to church 30 minutes early to make sure we get a good seat, okay? It's just the way it is, right? So so you can talk about relationships and marriage. That's great. But if you include the word sex in the sermon series, you get a bunch of dudes, too, who will be dragging their families to church. That's always really powerful. Right? So you can do that. I personally love the idea of launching a sermon series after Easter and just calling it Why Do Bad Things Happen to Good People? Right. So if you literally, because everybody comes out to Easter, right? And what's like the thing that everybody wants to know, right? Including Christians, right? Why do bad things happen to good people? So just, hey, man, thank you guys so much for coming out to Easter, man. If this is your first time, right? Or if you haven't been with us for a while, we just want to say, man, thank you so much for coming. We're excited that you guys are here. We want to invite you back next week. We're actually kicking off a brand new sermon series called Why Do Bad Things Happen to Good People? Right. So if you've ever had that question, right, that keeps you up at night, you've ever wondered about the thing, well, man, come on out next week. We're going to answer that question of why do bad things happen to good people? You have a really good chance of getting people back in the door, especially if you hand them some invite cards to remind them, right, and that kind of stuff. So there's just some different things. I used to do a series with my youth. This is the last thing I'll say. We'll move on.
No, you're fired up,
bro. I can talk about this for the next couple hours. But I used to do a series called Brainwashed. And so every October, right, we'd take that momentum season of back to school, and I'd ride that into a 6-week sermon series that I would do all through October and part of November leading up to Thanksgiving. I do it every year. It was called Brainwashed. Does God really exist, or are we all just brainwashed? And so I would literally just cover a different question every single week, like, has science disproven Christianity? How can a loving God send people to hell? Why do bad things happen to good people, right? Like, and all these different things. And I used an incredible book by Tim Keller called The Reason for God. And I literally just took a bunch of those things, phenomenal resource, and I would put together the 6-week sermon series. And like kids were like jumping over themselves to come to church and like dragging all their friends. I would have kids come out. It's like, hey, I heard you're gonna, like, man, I thought science had disproven Christianity. I heard you're going to talk about that tonight. I don't believe in God. Is it cool if I come? And I'm like, yes, please come. Right? That'd be talking to them. Did you ever go to the cafeteria or whatever and go to like school lunches? I used to always go every Wednesday, and I'd pass out like 100 burritos just to invite people to church. So people would ask me like, hey man, I'm not really sure if I come to church. Is it okay if I come to church tonight? I'm like, I don't know if I believe in God. I'm like, I would love for you to come, and I'll have free food for you when you show up, my man. So that was always really cool. So you have the right sticky sermon series. People start talking about them. They invite their friends, and their friends show up. So yes, you can do that. I have plenty of recommendations. I can talk about that all day long.
Wow, man, that really lit your fire.
I get excited, bro.
You want to get Chris excited? Talk about sermon series or trucks? Apparently, lifted trucks is now a thing.
Bro,
no, we can't go there.
Lifted trucks. Let me just say this. Any of you guys ever want to nerd out on sermon series and just like, man, maybe we'll just put together like a little workshop. Don't tell Ryan, but we'll do like a sermon series workshop, and we'll just talk through ideas and brainstorm.
Okay, guys, I do want to say this. We probably should, at some point let you guys get back to your life. Although we love hanging out with you and the 500 people that are still on here. You guys haven't even eaten lunch or what? What's happening here?
They've been with us for like 3 hours, bro.
I know. So we are going to do a replay experience of this same content at 4 p.m. today is the effort. So if you want to bring somebody back to that, or say, hey, will you check this out? Or like maybe I caught the end of it here, or I just caught the conversation about trucks. Can I actually hear the other stuff? Like, then come back at 4 p.m. today. Be looking in your email. And then we'll also try to email out a link to that. So if you have anything that is still on fire, like, man, I really need to talk to somebody, because we do need to like officially at this point let people get back to life. If you would go to churchmarketinguniversity.com/talk. So churchmarketinguniversity.com/talk. Let me see if I can get it back. I think it's that one right there. So if you would go there, if you hung out here and you still got questions, that would probably be the best place for you to get an answer. And if you're like, man, I got some nitty gritty questions about the program I'm in, but I got program questions, then jump on the welcome party. So that will be next Thursday, 11 a.m. We'll be emailing out everybody. So we'll all come hang out. You'll get to meet all the team, and that's where we'll answer a ton of questions. If you're like, man, hey, I still want that bonus. I just heard back from my pastor. You need to grab it. I'm going to give you like a 3-minute warning. churchmarketinguniversity.com/order. If you wanted all the bonuses and the coaching bonus we talked about today, you've got about 3 minutes left. So we'll officially say to anybody that had their order in here in the next 3 minutes, you are grandfathered in, whether we're out of spots or not. So you got a few minutes there. But I will just say, okay, we'll take one last question, and then all the other questions will go over to the /talk Zoom hangout. Okay. So the Christopher's asking, can you give me advice on encouraging my pastor to lean towards this program? Our website doesn't have much, and he doesn't want to move on from mailers. So Christopher, good question. Sometimes trust comes over longevity. So sometimes it might just be planting seeds and let's go on a long-term adventure together. Sometimes it's not healthy to try to just microwave it, but other time, man, I think we do have an opportunity that could really, really help you. So I think maybe the best thing that I could say when you're trying to pitch something to a leader above you is start with what fires them up the most. So think about, like, what are they passionate about? What are the, God's calling on them? And then connect the opportunity with the thing that they're already bought into. So what you don't want to make the mistake is you're not trying to get them to buy into something new. You're trying to connect this as a vehicle to the thing that they're already bought into. So if Chris loves lifted trucks, I'm not going to try to get him into a Prius, okay? So it's not going to happen. What I'm going to try to say is, hey, your best way to lifted trucks is XYZ. And he's like, hey, I'm in. If that gets me to hang out with lifted truck owners and I'll get a lifted truck, then great. So you want to be able to say, okay, what is your leadership already passionate about? What are they already bought into? So if they love direct mail, maybe ask yourself the question, why do they love direct mail? What are they trying to accomplish with direct mail? And then kind of write those things down. And then this opportunity may or may not be a better path towards the thing that they're already passionate about. So maybe think about that and pitch the opportunity into the thing that they're already bought into. Hopefully that's helpful. Chris, anything that you would?
Yeah. So Chris, just something that might be helpful, that might be practical. So if you go over to YouTube, so I actually have a couple of videos that talk about mailers versus some of the other digital outreach strategies and that kind of stuff. So if it's helpful, you can go over to the YouTube channel. It's just my name, Chris Abbott, ABBOTT. If you go there and you go to my videos and you search by most viewed, you'll see there's like 3 there at the top. All 3 of them kind of talk about that. But how to grow a church from scratch. I think specifically even talks about some of these digital outreach strategies versus mailers. How to grow your church congregation, kind of alludes to it, talks about it a little bit. And then so does how to grow a small struggling church. So those 3 videos, just sort by most viewed, and those top 3 videos might help. So maybe you guys watch them together, right, or something like that. But that just might help him to at least show him some of what's available when you start using digital as a tool, right? Like we talk about Facebook specifically. Ryan mentioned it earlier. Facebook isn't an announcement platform. Like Facebook is a missions field, right? There's 2.8 billion people on Facebook and 2.7 billion log in every single, 1.7 billion people log into Facebook every single day, which makes Facebook the single largest missions field the church has ever seen. And so just, I think kind of looking at it as more of a missions field and that kind of stuff, we can, if we're trying to reach as many people as possible and be a good steward of our finances, he might want to consider, using digital. So
and one last thought on that, if he's a really analytics person, you could always say, hey, what did the direct mail do last year? Could we just try this for a year?
Yeah.
Like how many, visitors, what was the results? What if we could we give it a shot and just see, and then we could compare apples to apples. But a lot of that depends on what their personality is and maybe what their kind of leadership love language is, what really lights them up, and then just communicate it in that respect. So, okay, one final time, we are going to do an experience, kind of a second service, if you will, experience. It's the same content, but today at 4 p.m. is our effort to do another experience like that, be looking to your email to get that link. So if you have somebody in your team that you want to go through the 2023 planning content, they will be able to come back, and it will be kind of a live whole, kind of think of it as a what Facebook used to do, where you would premiere, like a premiere, where the whole experience, they're going to get the whole experience, the content. And then when they put in a question, it comes to us via email. So we're trying to honor the experience as much as possible, but that will be happening at 4 p.m. Today. And then if it goes well, we may or may not do one tomorrow after that. So just pay attention to your email that you use to register. That's where we'll be sending follow-up notes with the workbook and any sort of replay links. Thank you guys so much. It's been an honor to be able to hang out with you guys, to go on this journey with you. Our prayer is that God uses your ministry to reach more people in 2023 than ever before. So we love you guys. Man, keep up the good work. Let's make heaven more crowded. One final time, if you're like, well, I need to talk to somebody, churchmarketinguniversity.com/talk. That'll be live just here for the next little bit. And then our team's got to get some lunch. But we love you guys. Let's make heaven crowded. God bless.
See y'all.